You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Woo! We are in April, and what a month it has already been, okay? By the time you listen to this show, I will be in Boston, Massachusetts for leg 2 of my book tour. Super excited to be at Northeastern University, where I'll be giving a keynote on cancel culture and on my book. There's going to be a lot of great conversations. I'm going to meet a bunch of students and faculty at Northeastern. As you all know, last month I was in Boston at Harvard University doing the first leg of my book tour. And here I am back again in Boston. Boston loved me. You know, it's so funny because earlier over the weekend, I was having a conversation about, I was at a bar with my bestie, Jamarcus, and we'll get to that place in a minute. But, someone at the bar said, what is the white Atlanta? Like, what is the Atlanta for white people? And, I said Portland. And people at first were like, no, it's Nashville and everything. But y'all, look up Portland. Look up the history of Portland. There's a reason why I specifically said Portland. Because Portland has a very, very storied history when it comes to whiteness. And so I specifically chose that. To be honest, Nashville is the Chicago for white people. And, Boston, someone said Boston, and I was like, y'all, Boston is just Boston. Boston is a white city. Like, it's already white. It's not like a, remix, like the way that, I don't know, Friends is really the white living single. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like Boston, there's no, Boston is pretty white already. Like, but I guess they were trying to figure out, I guess metaphorically speaking, what it would be. I don't know. Boston is just Boston. I don't think it has a spin to it, like Vermont. Well, as a state, but just like, I'm thinking about areas like where Dartmouth is, like Dartmouth is like New Hampshire. That's an Ivy, of course, for y'all who don't know about my Dartmouth. It's in Hanover, New Hampshire. So like Hanover is just Hanover, y'all. But anywho, I digress. But no, I'm going to be in Boston. I'm looking forward to this exciting speaking engagement. I'm giving a keynote address. First class flight to Boston. I'm excited. It's only like a 90-minute flight, pretty much. Pretty simple, nonstop. So the keynote I'm giving is at Northeastern at the College of Arts, Media, and Design in their Center for Communication, Media Innovation, and Social Change. The conversation is called Unruly Tools and the Fight for Our Freedom. Ernest Owens, award-winning journalist and author of The Case for Cancel Culture, will speak on how we resist attempts to roll back our rights, freedoms, and civil liberties. So that's going to be happening in Boston. I'm super excited. The Center for Communication, Media Innovation, and Social Change is a hub for the advanced studies of race, ethnicity, and activism with an emphasis on media impact and the empowerment of marginalized communities. Northeastern is doing some great work. The person that's really leading up this and who sent me this invitation and gave me this great opportunity was Dr. Meredith Clark. And if you all know, she was in my book. I interviewed her for The Case for Cancel Culture. And so this is a full circle moment, once again, connecting some really great people who was a part of that experience. And also, fun fact, I don't know if you all have heard about this new show on Bravo about Martha's Vineyard and this cast of the lively cast. You might have saw a Black queer person on the show who had like a known hat and he was very, vibrant and lively. His name is Preston Mitchum. Well, Preston Mitchum was in my book, The Case for Cancel Culture, who I also interviewed on this topic. He's a lawyer by day, but now about to be an up-and-coming reality star, it appears. So that show is coming out in May, but they just put out the trailer and put it out. It's going to be following Real Housewives of Atlanta. So it's going to be in a nice primetime slot. So, I'll be probably reviewing the show here on Ernestly Speaking. And I'm going to keep it 100 how I feel about the show. So, stay tuned for that. But just lot of great things going on in the world of this book as we get into leg two of the tour. So I'm super excited. Here's the thing about flights. I have not traveled this much in my entire life. Like, I've taken more flights in the past 2 months than I've ever have had in maybe the past 4 years, easily. Like, I'm this traveling life, but I'm getting better at it. Like, I'm starting to learn how to pack appropriately and how to navigate it. And let me be clear, I'm gonna always pack and wear and bring everything I'm gonna bring. Like, let's be clear. People be like, oh, you don't have to wear that. Don't bring that with you. Carry everything. I'm gonna always have a carry on. That's just what it's gonna be. So always gonna be a carry on, and I'm always gonna have a check in. I'm always gonna check in a luggage piece. Okay. Fortunately, because I have American Airlines Advantage. I'm an Advantage Gold member, trying to get to platinum status. Okay, but Gold is great. I get one free check-in, so that has made my check-in addiction real. I have the check-in. I got the pre-check. You already know that already. Um, but one of the things I've been doing really big is that I have officially 100% have travel products that are not the same as the products I use at home. I have all of my skincare, hair hygiene, everything, cologne, even cologne, y'all. I got to cologne. I have travel size versions of every product I need, from my toothbrush to my toothpaste to my mouthwash to my hair grease and oil. Everything I have a travel size version, and it stays in the suitcase until I need to pull it out, and it makes it easier for me to pack now. So my toiletries, you know they stay locked because I have travel versions. And part of this is because a lot of my skincare products, as you all know, comes from Kills. So, Kills, one thing I'll say about them is that for about 90% of their products, they have a travel size version, a small version. It could be a sample version, but they have something that is light. So I don't have to bring the huge 32 ounce of my, overnight cream or something. They got sample sizes, or they have, a smaller size for travel. So all of my skincare and everything is travel. So that was big for me, because when I pack, I really don't want to do overpacking and things. And a lot of my friends this week traveling, Dr. Geo, Mr. Geo, my fellow lip brother, my good sis and good Judy, Amanda, soon to be Dr. Parks. They was both in the same city. I was like, damn, everybody was in Chicago, my birthplace. They were all in Chi, while I was here in Philly, making headlines, as you all know. We'll talk about some of that. But yeah, I'm just excited about the travel situation. Everything all packed, everything cute. I got travel size versions. I realized, back in the day, I used to always put a lot of emphasis on, like, dressing all up and wearing cologne to get myself all dolled up. But I'm like, yeah, if I'm on a flight, I just need to be dressed comfortably. I need to be in Crocs. I need a hoodie. I'm wearing sweatpants. I'm keeping it real cute. Now, I got to have my travel size carry on for the Telfar, the Telfeezy. So I got my medium bag and my large bag. I got the wallet. I got all the things. I got the little Telfar pill. I got to be travel cute. So, no, I've gotten used to this. And I also take my airborne. I don't play, because I was, when I was doing all that back-to-back travel, the first leg of the tour, I started feeling like I didn't get sick or anything, but I started feeling like a little, like, drained out a little bit. And so I would have to take these deep naps and all of that. But now I'm like, okay, so the trick is you got to stay hydrated, about 40 hours before the flight, stuff up on the immune. Like, I take a daily vitamin, but I'm like, okay, I need to do airborne, 12 hours before the flight. I need to, sleep or whatever, take a good shower, steam myself out. I just need to do things to get myself ready before the flight, and then after the flight, and just keep myself well rested. So that is what I'm doing. I've been taking some tips, because I'm not used to this travel life like this. Normally, I really, I'm used to just, I can do a virtual, take a train, take a Uber. But, the book is in high demand, the interest, the conversation. So, I've just been really practicing on, how to be the best go-getter and traveler. I think the Grammys prep was a good little preview of that. But now I need to just get really focused and everything. Oh my goodness, this cologne, okay, that I have on. Ooh, I got this. So sidebar, I was sampling some fragrances. There is this lovely company that I use for my body wash called Huron, and they are or Huron. It's spelled Huron. Um, and they have a really great. It's Huron. I think that's what it is. Um, I think that's what it's called. um, but it's a great product though. It's this cologne they just announced, and yeah, it's called Huron. Yeah, Huron. And so they have a great cologne set that is that they just put out, and it matches and complements the body washes. So they have one that's a citrus with lemongrass, I believe it is. And then they also have a black pepper. Well, it's hold on. Ugh. I said, let me bring these over here. Now you know how live I do this show. So it is a original citrus and eucalyptus, and then it is a sandalwood and black pepper. So I'm doing two different scents for two different parts of the day. Now, to be clear, it is an Eau de Parfum. So, I heard did the conversation about scents and potency. So I love this. But I'm like, ooh, this smells good. So my plan is I found my body, like my body sense with my pheromones and testing it. Okay, I'm a little geeky. But like in the daytime when it's like, day, early spring and chill, I'm going to wear the Huron original citrus eucalyptus. This is like the combination scent. And they have a body wash that matches that. And I wear that body wash all the time. So people always tell me I smell good. This is why. So I do that in the daytime. So anytime it's the sun is out and it's daytime, that's my cute, light daytime scent. Now at night, if I'm going out at night and I'm, taking a shower, getting myself ready, I then wash, I have a body wash. I use a sandalwood black pepper body wash, and I spray that Eau de Parfum, that scent at night. But if I'm going to a fancy John, I'm talking about a really nice event, like what I'm going to tomorrow. Well, I'm going to actually at this event in Boston, this keynote that I'm going to be doing this week. I am going to be doing my YSL Y cologne in Eau de Parfum. That is serious. That's a serious event. East Saint Laurent. That's I'm gonna be rocking that, but I'm not gonna pull that out all the time. I'm gonna mix it and match it. But I think I'm finding my groove, and it's important, to find that groove, find that element that makes the skin smell good, make you feel great. Find your element. It is what it is. So, but I'm gonna sip my drink real quick. So it's been a full week. I'm not fully convinced to drink the tap water. I don't really drink tap water, but I think everything's all good. Everybody's drinking the water again, but I'm gonna drink my liquid death. Okay, literally, it's sparkling water. I'm drinking my sparkling. I'm still staying on my sparkling. I'm not fully committed. Not that I don't trust the city. I mean, I really don't trust the city, but I'm just saying, like, I'm going to my sparkling. So, but no, I'm really excited about Boston to go back again. I'm staying in Hilton this time, so I'm grateful. Shout out to having cover and everything. But I'm like, I want my Marriott points. I'm trying to get the points. But no, I'm at a Hilton, so I'm chilling. So, yeah, I mean, Boston is on my mind, clearly. Super excited about that. Shout out to LSU for winning the women's NCAA, okay, basketball champs. Okay, shout out to Angel Reese. Okay, to the haters out there on the internet talking all this shit, leave that girl alone. She's doing her thing. They mad because she did the John Cena, you can't see me, whatever. But listen, homegirl, white girl was doing it 2 games earlier and no one said anything. So to the racist rhetoric, to the racially biased rhetoric of calling this 20-year-old black girl a piece of shit, a classist piece of shit, this man over there, Barstool Sports. Let's not, because child, Barstool Sports have had a history of being a piece of shit themselves. Grown ass men who have done all kind of deplorable things. Look up Barstool Sports and the people that's been affiliated with that brand. They're trash, okay? But leave Angel Reese alone. And to the people on social media, um, she's now a winner. She's a champion. LSU won their first ever women's NCAA basketball championship. They beat Iowa. Those teams were night and day. LSU, it is what it is. It's represented. And then, Iowa was Iowa. My mother actually went to the University of Iowa, fun fact. But I think this is Iowa State that won. I wasn't following the girls in Iowa. I was focused on LSU. Okay, Louisiana, baby. Um, but no, I'm very happy that they won. And to the haters that's bitter and salty, fall off. Okay, fall off. So, this weekend was unprecedented for Ernestly speaking. We have cracked into the big numbers now. We didn't smash into the top 200. Last time I checked over the weekend, we was number 129 on all news, commentary podcasts on Apple. We're doing it, okay? Shout out to y'all for listening to the special edition episode. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to do it. The time we talked and did the episode last week, the episode 13 of season 4, I did not have any clue that what was going to transpire between last week was going to lead into me doing a special edition last Friday. And the way that you all showed up by the thousands to listen to this podcast and that special episode and share it and talk about it, the buzz alone took it up the charts. I mean, no promo, no preview, no schedule. I just kind of just dropped this on a Friday afternoon. And y'all were like, I want to watch it. Well, I'm going to listen to it. I mean, what's going on? So, look, I was outside of NABJ. That's what it was. Honestly, I said everything I need to say in a special edition episode. If you have not listened to it, tune in, hear the story, hear it all. That's my truth. That's my piece. I laid it all there, and left no crumbs behind. I said everything I wanted to say. There's been some stuff I've heard since, allegedly, what I heard was that the ad hoc committee allegedly, because I have to say that word, that allegedly the ad hoc committee, the people who investigated and looked through my tweets and evaluated them and did all the things they did, that allegedly they proposed to the NABJ board of directors that I was to be kicked out of the organization for life, allegedly. That's what I heard from close sources connected to the situation, that initially it was going to be a life penalty. Y'all crazy, right? Like, again, I didn't hit anybody. I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't physically, assault or touch or anything. I did nothing of the nature. This is non-criminal behavior. And allegedly they were going to try to kick me out the organization for life. Well, allegedly the NABJ board of directors, came to a 5-year ban, which is still egregious and ridiculous, and honestly still stupid and pointless. There was no, in my opinion, a fair, just due process in this entire situation. And quite frankly, in my opinion, I just find them to be a banana republic that is doing whatever they want, however they want, wherever they see fit. And to be honest, at this point, I've spoken my piece. I've said what I want to say, and to the members, and to the public, and to the fans, and to the folks that are asking what's next. You all decide what's next. I'm no longer a member at this time, clearly, not of my own volition, not of my own choice. But I will say that it's in the people's hands. You, to the people that are NABJ members, ask those questions, ask for accountability, expect more, demand more. If you don't think this was fair, if you don't like the way this looked, speak up, say something, do something. Silence is not an option. Silence is violence. And what I have heard over the past weekend over debates amongst the elite of the organization, the pretentious, the confused, the bamboozled, those amongst the organization that oftentimes I feel like sometimes are stagnant in the progress, they'll spend time trying to, overanalyze and sometimes in many ways victim blame and gaslight. I've heard so many different variations of, Maybe if you didn't wear that dress that way, maybe this wouldn't have happened to you. Some variation of that type of victim blaming rhetoric, where in reality, there's nothing I could have did or different. What? Be straight, stay in the closet, hide who I am. Act as though I didn't see smoke or sense smoke, didn't speak up, be silent. I mean, there's a lot of things I could have did. But the reality is that I shouldn't have to be that way to succeed and thrive in an organization that's been around for nearly 50 years. It's a shame. But what I want to reiterate to people is that the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists is still my home. I'm a proud lifetime member. I'm a proud president currently. And I'm proud of my board and the members and the committees and the leaders that continue to rock and move forward. That's where my focus and my passion, my priorities are. As far as to the people in the organization in NABJ that I know that I've broke bread with and whatnot, what I would say simply is that, listen, some of the people out here, they don't like me, they don't like my swag, they don't like my style, but they think what happened to me is wrong. Here's my response to those people, if they're listening to this episode. This is bigger than me. And I've made that clear in the last episode, the special edition episode. This situation is bigger than me. This situation is bigger than all of us. It sets a precedent for the future. The precedent of that the organization at any moment can dislike a person. And if they don't like them enough, and the political powers that be in the middle of an upcoming election, they can sense whatever they sense and feel whatever they feel. I mean, there's a lot of suspicions and questions around why this happened now and how it happened. I mean, I'll be frank. I think some people thought I was going to run for the NABJ board. Let me let y'all in on a secret. I had no plans on running for the NABJ board. But there was presumptions that was the case. And given how close I was to winning treasurer, by the double digits was the margin between me and the current treasurer. They sensed that with the success of my book, my visibility, and this is my theory, right? I don't know for a fact, but I'm just taking a wild guess that given my increased visibility, my popularity as a chapter president, and everything else I had going for me, I think they felt like if I ran for the board, that possibly I would have been a winner and there would have been hell to pay. I think they feared that because what they don't want me to be is on the board and know the numbers and know what's going on in the organization and holding those people accountable, including the current executive director. So that's what I think. That's my opinion. I can't say it's fact, but what I can say is that I'm not stupid. I wasn't born yesterday. And I think a lot of people over the weekend who I've spoken to and who've reached out to me, they're not foolish either. Look, it's going to take a lot to break a person like me. And to be honest, y'all tried and y'all failed. I'm a human, right? You could be disappointed about something, but at the end of the day, you get back up and you just keep going. And the reality is that you recognize your power and your strength in times like this. And you also recognize who your real friends and your people are. I mean, to be honest, I don't have to question loyalty of most of my friends, all of my friends, but most of the people in my circle. In this moment right now, I feel like I've been through so many different trials and tribulations throughout my career that I'm grateful to say I'm at the place where I've weeded out the snakes. Like the people that was just questionable and yada, yada. I feel like now when these things happen, the crew I'm with, they like, what we gonna do? What you need? What you got? Like, it's just not like this wondering or this question of who's going to show up and who's going to do whatever. I don't really have the ambiguity anymore. And that feels freeing to be able to, be in a situation where you don't have to wonder or question something. So that's the one thing I say that feels good about this situation. But, to be honest, what I'll tell folks in general is that's a part of NABJ. Listen, you don't have to like me. You don't have to care what about my style, my opinion, my perspective. But at the end of the day, every person in the organization deserves a due process. We shouldn't be at a time with all the things going on in media, all these layoffs, all these pounds of DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion. You would think that with the stuff going on at the Philadelphia Inquirer in Philadelphia, that they would have said something, or they would have stepped up in that, or would have helped those journalists But no, they're too busy worried about other black journalists and how to oust them from organizations. That's just what they want to do, right? That must be their priorities. It is what it is. But to everyone else, I would just say, listen, everyone doesn't have to speak out the same way. One of the things that annoy me the most sometimes in conversations with fellow journalists is that they can get so pedantic in the midst of a crisis. And it will get so technical and so, wonky that they miss the mark and they miss the opportunity to strike and to take action and make a difference. And so sometimes people say to me, that's not the way. And I used to always want to debate. But you know what I do now when people say, this is not the way to do something, this is not the way? I say to them, okay, well then you do it the way. You do it your way. But whatever you're doing, do something. Don't worry about how I'm making a difference. Don't worry about my way. What is your way? And what is your action? Because to do nothing is to concede to the oppressor and to just simply criticize other people's approaches without having an approach of your own. See, I got a word right now. I'm saying something right now. Can you feel it? And this isn't just about my situation. It's about a lot of things in life. There's always people around you that are so quick to say, this isn't the way. This isn't the right way. And I'm one of those people that will critique away. But let me tell you something. If somebody come to me and say, well, what the hell you going to do, Ernest? Oh, here how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be Elizabeth Warren with it. I'm going to have an app for that. I'm going to have a plan for that. I'm going to have an idea for that. And I think that's what annoys me is that I came from the place of, if you got something to say, you better have something to offer. And if you didn't have anything to offer, then you better not tell someone else what they should do with what they have. That's how I grew up. I never was a person that was ever going to see a person fighting for themselves and tell them how to do it without having a solution. Just simply saying that ain't the way is not the answer, right? And telling someone how to live their life and fight for themselves in their circumstances isn't the flex you think it is either. So then the question becomes, what are you going to do for you in the situation? How are you going to contribute to a larger problem? How are you going to combat it? What's your solution? How you're going to act? So if me going on social media and speaking out isn't your thing, then what is your thing? Are you going to send an email? Are you going to sign on to a letter? Are you going to sign a petition? Are you going to, confront these issues at a public event? Are you going to make phone calls? What are you going to do? And however you choose to show up, just show up. Do something, but don't spend your energy telling people about what is the right way, how they should respond and what they should do while the harm is continuing to happen. So that's my little piece of advice. So yeah, that's happening, but on with my life. So last week I did WRD. I hosted Philadelphia City Council Live. There was a breaking news story that I had broke during that time. We'll talk more about it in the rest of the show, later in the show. But, this week there will be no Philadelphia City Council Live because it's Passover. We're getting ready for Easter. I don't even know if I'm not cooking for Easter. No, I'm not cooking for Easter. I'm not cooking for Easter. I don't think Mr. Johnson is either. We got to find a caterer or something. Because this is, do I want to cook? See, I love, it's, it's only yourself, it's like, well, who do you, it's just you and your boo, it's like, who do you cook for? Normally I cook for everybody. I know my brother and his girlfriend, we'll talk about that too. They probably will come over for Easter. It's like, it's just so much. And I'm not a church girl, so it's not like I'm going to go to church and then do Easter. I don't know. Whoever got a catering situation for Easter, I need to find them ASAP. And I don't mind paying for food. I just need to find good food. And I just need to find somebody fast. So, so we'll see. But yes, I had wrapped up my my special guest stint on WRD Radio to host the show. I did it for a couple of weeks, filling in for Charles Ellison. But, stay tuned for Good Friday. Maybe there'll be some news on Good Friday about some things. I don't know. But I gotta shut up. Okay, restaurants I've been to. Restaurants I've been to this past week that I recommend. Grace and Proper. Went there for brunch. You all probably saw my IG story. I didn't really post any major pictures because it was brunch food, and it was divine. Grace and Proper was dope. It's in South Philly. Cute little area, quaint area. They have dinner foods and other foods, but they got a new brunch lineup that's real cute. Make a reservation. It's comfortable. They got some really dope brunch cocktails. I was feeling it. It's very, very fun and cute, but they got a nice situation there. The food, just real cozy and fun and laid back. But the food was of quality and the drinks were definitely memorable breakfast drinks. They got stuff for everybody, espresso, coffee, martini. I'm not really a coffee girl, but the girls were saying the espresso martinis and all the little fun concoctions and everything were great. So get your life for sure. Went to South. Okay, let me tell y'all something. I went with my fave, Dr. Stanford. She had did this weekend. She did TED Talk X at the University of Pennsylvania, my alma mater, and she spoke. And she had a TED Talk, and then she did a dinner situation at Southside, which is connected to South. Let me tell y'all something. I haven't went to South in a while. Like I haven't ate there in a while, but I have the sense that the people from I know the Bynum brothers own it. But I feel like the fried chicken that's at South right now was the same fried chicken from Relish. And I feel like they're bringing back that Relish energy at Southside. And y'all, they got a hit on their hands. I was like, I don't remember the last time I went to South and even had fried chicken, let alone fried chicken with bones. I don't know what is going on, but why is it hard to find fried chicken with bones at a good restaurant? I talked about this last week at Booker's, but y'all, this South Side situation, I'm here for it. That chicken was immaculate. Immaculate. Okay? The greens on point. The mac and cheese, it was the embodiment of everything I've missed from the days of Miss Tootsie's and everything. It was phenomenal. It was flawless. The food was on point. I have no complaints. When I tell you they treated me like a king up in there. I said I want the fried chicken plate. Listen, they gave me a thigh, a wing, and a drum. Okay? And they had the collard greens, and they had the sweet potatoes, and they had the mac and cheese. Okay, the deviled eggs with the shrimp, they was not playing with me. I was not prepared. I battled through a tornado to have that meal, but I love Dr. Ayla Stanford, and we had a good old time, and we sat back and had some great chit chat. She has some big news coming up. I can't say what it is, but she's doing some cool things. And that's my girl. So super excited to see her. Her husband was there. It was a great time. It was jazz. It was fun. It was just a great. He got the house. Mr. Johnson, he had Mr. Johnson, his bartender Barry side came out, did a bartending event. Over the weekend and everything. He's not playing. He takes a couple of gigs. If you are interested, bartenderberry.com, that's his website. You go check out his events. He does private events, but listen, he did an event and listen, I was like, oh wow. You listen, I was impressed. Listen, he took that and got me some boots from Steve Madden. I said, how sweet of you. So, Um, so yeah, what else? Where else did I go to? Because I do have a piece about this place. Okay, so I went to Sunday. I did Sunday supper at Dim Sum House, University. It was me, Mr. Johnson, my younger brother from Temple, and his girlfriend. We had a nice little dinner. It was so cute. It was so nice. We had dim sum. She's a sweet girl. And I've met her before, but we just got to just do dinner and just really be with each other. Because the last time it was the book, my family was in town, so that time was my mom and my other folks, my folks, and they were all like, they never met her, so they met her in person, and so it was a different kind of vibe. Because how the matriarch she wants to see what's going on. But of course, the young lady passed, of course, and she's still around, and she's a sweet girl. She's very nice, and they're just a cute couple. So it was nice. We took them out. to Dim Sum House. It was a fun time. We Dim Sum House is so dope. I haven't had it in a while, but I will tell you this: places like Dim Sum, we feasted out. You can't do it modest. You have to show your ass. Like we ordered like four types of dumplings. We had duck with the bayou buns. We had what was it, peckling duck. We had pork belly. We had General Tso's chicken, broccoli rice situation. We had the really, really good string beans, the Japanese or Chinese string beans. I mean, it was just a lot of food, but I mean, it's dim sum, so you just want to have a feast. So it was dumplings and spicy dumplings and all the jazz, and it was good. It was good. I every time I go to dim sum house at University City. Now I know they have one on like down on like 19th and Chestnut. I haven't been down there, but I've heard from people who've gone to both locations that the University City one, which is the original one, the OG, that's the one. But no shade to J&G. J&G does great food. That rented house one is good for the folks that live in rented house. I just feel like the way they do it over here in University City, I just feel like it's a different energy. But the rented house people love that location. It's cute for the girls. But when I want something that's spicy, if I want a spicy dumpling, I want it to be spicy. That's all I'm saying. I feel like Rittenhouse, in some of these locations in Rittenhouse, not all, but some, spicy is not spicy. Spicy means flavor there. Over here, spicy means you want to taste something. So, just saying. People are tasting the difference. So, I have to get into this. I have to talk about this experience I had. I was debating with Jamarcus because we both went. Was I going to talk about this place? And I want to just start off by saying that I love this place. I love it, but I need to keep it real about the experience. So let's talk about Axum. For those who've been to Axum. Axum is a Black-owned restaurant that's in University City on Baltimore Avenue. It's more so in West Philly. It's in Baltimore Avenue. It's near Booker's. Now, my good Judy Saba owned Booker's, right? That is next to Bayou. Booker's and Bayou are next to each other. But before she owned that restaurant, well, she sold all of her restaurants now. But the first gym was Axum. She owned Axum. Axum was a Mediterranean spot, but it's like a Mediterranean spot with soul, and it had a good energy. The brunch was legendary. It was known for being the ultimate brunch destination in West Philly. I mean, there is the other places, Renata's and stuff, but that's where you used to hide your mistresses and your mistress and stuff back in the day. I never had those, but I just know that that's what they used to tell the girls, like, oh, you don't want to go to you don't want to go to what they say, you don't want to go to Axum, everybody's there. But Renata's, when they was the little small cafe location, not the new location, but the old location, you could just slide up in there. You wasn't trying to be seen, But the food was always good. Renata's is good. I haven't been to the new location in a while, but the Renata's I remember was good. You wasn't hiding with the trade. But anywho, Axum used to be the spot. Great brunch. BYOB. I've had dozens and dozens of brunches there, birthday brunches, celebrations, everything in between. I even had my wedding, like pre-wedding reception, I had so many damn wedding receptions, y'all, but I had like a pre-wedding guest reception that was there. And it was a vibe. It was always a vibe. And I've been there for over 10 years. So Saba, who owned Booker's and Axum, she sold Axum first to focus on Booker's. Then she sold Booker's. She's a multimillionaire. She sold it for over $2 million apparently to the new owners. Now, these new owners, they're socialites and great business people, and they've made their own names. They travel. They're a cute couple, like that's just pushing through. The wife, it's a husband-wife restaurant, Black-owned. She's got a book out. The husband does a lot of great things. He golfs and they travel in nice hotels. I mean, they looking fabulous. Their Instagram is lit. So they own the restaurant now. We were going to go. So initially, Jamarcus was on a Friday. He's like, look, I'm trying to do something tonight. Mr. Johnson had a gig that night. So I was just like, well, what am I going to do tonight? Because I was just chilling. And so I was like, look, let's go out. The Lip Brothers were not able to go all together because Gio was in Chicago, and then Josh was with his cousin. So then it was just Jamarcus and I, and we both live right across from each other in West Philly. So I was like, okay, you gotta work. We should go to Booker's because I want to go. I wanted to go to Booker's, the new Booker's, and try the food. Remember, I told you I wanted to see what the chicken was like and if it had bones. I wanted to see. This is gonna be a running joke, this whole bones and chicken thing. But I'm dead ass. Like I just need chicken with bones. But anyway, I was like, I wanted to go and try it. And I wanted to go and try it unannounced. Because let me tell you, I'm starting to, but I have a reputation now, y'all. Like, when I go out now and I RSVP for restaurants be extra. And I don't mind it, though. I like it. It's cute. My friends be having a good time. But I've noticed that when I RSVP on Open Table or Resi, these restaurants be looking at who coming to their spot. And so I'll try to come. And the true story, every one of my friends know this. Whoever going out to eat with me, they know. They've had this experience. I'll go to the restaurant. I'm modest. I'm chill. I sit myself down. And this is not an event. I'm just sitting down. And then the server, but they'll start off being nice. They'll just offer whatever. Then they'll come and say, oh, you ordered your drinks. Compliments of our chef. Then they start giving me different foods that's not on the menu. Then they'll be like, hey, are you interested in this? And but they'll do it so like casually, like, oh, we're just, but me and Jamarcus especially, the Lip Brothers know. We'll go out. We start pulling out them phones, and it's just a different energy. Let me tag the rest of. If I do a little, it just the vibe. It becomes a movie. Next thing you know, it'd be like, oh, well, could you try this? Could you try this? I'm like, damn. So it is a vibe. But there are times where I just want to just like, just be. But nah, if I want that, I need to just simply do two things. One, I have to get another friend make the reservation. Two, I can't tag while I'm at the restaurant. Because the publicist, the person, whoever gets the tag, they're like, ding, 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 so-and-so is at your restaurant right now. Get it together, prompto. The vibe changes. So if I want that experience, I literally have to have a friend make the reservation. And at this point, it can't be Jamarcus or Josh or Gio. I need to not tag. I just need to not do any of that. I just need to be unassuming if that's what I want. If that's what I want. Emphasis on if that's what I want. Maybe sometimes, but I don't know. But anywho, I wanted to go just to chill or whatever. So we rolled up there. Jamarcus said it before I was, because I'd be taking my pretty time. So he gets the Bookers, and they told him that they only had outside seating because it was packed. It was Friday night. It was lit. But the only thing is that you could not drink outside. You couldn't order liquor outside. So, we was like, oh, hell no, we can't do that. So we just was like, actually, he was like, look, where we were, they said you can't drink outside. I say, we can't, they got outside eating, and I can't drink outside, even though I'm paying. Oh no, that's why no one was outside. So we wasn't about to be outside for that. So we just said, okay, what's the plan? What's the move? So I just said, let's go to Axum. I haven't been to Axum in a while. I haven't been to Axum in a while. And what I remember was that Axum always had a really good dinner situation. The brunch was always great back in the day, but the dinner was also good too. I remember the dinner being good. So I knew it wasn't BYOB anymore. I did hear word on the street wasn't BYOB anymore, but I didn't hear much else. So let me tell you this. We went to Axum, y'all. We walk in, it's a nightclub in there, y'all. It is purple lights. It feels like some West Philly version of Lou and Choose before the renovations, y'all. It was like the music was lit, okay? They were playing early 2000s music like Chingy right there. They played Game Over by Little Flip. If you know any of the songs I'm saying is great. If you don't know any of the songs that I'm talking about and you didn't dance to these songs when she's too young for you. But no, they were playing the nice classics, the Southern classics, okay? I felt like I was in Houston for 5 seconds. We get in there, we like, okay, it's cute. We was like, what's going on? Well, Jamarcus was texting me as I was headed there. So he's like, child, this is a different Axum, Ernest. I was like, say less. So I get there and it's a vibe. It's very different. But different, I'm saying different because different don't mean good. So it was TVs, big ass TVs all around. Now, I'm telling y'all, this is the same Axum, but it was different. They had big ass TV screens all around the restaurant, purple lights. They had a bouncer at the front. Yes, security. They got a bouncer at the front. The bar was very lively. They had drinks, or as I will say, they had drinks. If you know the difference between a drink and a drank, I want to be very clear. They had drinks there. It wasn't drinks. It was drinks, because those were some drinks on that menu. Drinks as in Henny Punch, Ciroc Punch, Casamigos Punch. I said, Casamigos Punch? What? So we got the Ciroc Punch. We didn't want to do the Henny Punch. But let me tell you something. I don't know what I was drinking, but the drink I had, I was like, I don't know what happened. Jamarcus drink, he said it was just juice. My drink, he sipped that. He was like, you're just drinking, this is liquor in here. I said, I think it is. It was so bad, I poured some in his glass. It was so much. It was tilted. Food. For whatever reason, we did not want to eat plated. I think the energy was so clubby that I just didn't feel like I wanted to eat an actual dinner. So we did a bunch of appetizers. We did the mimosas, which were phenomenal. We did the jerk chicken quesadillas. We did the wings. We did the mussels. It was just like a bunch of, we did the finger. They had other things on the menu, but we just was like, for some reason, the vibe just didn't feel like I wanted to sit down and eat a plated meal, you know? But the food was good. I will listen, before I get into the other aspect of this, the food was good. The food was good. But first of all, that menu, them prices got jacked up, y'all. Them prices went up. When I looked at the menu prices, I was like, I don't remember this. I remember some entrees being in the 20s, 25, 24, 26, 27. The steak might have been in the mid 30s, any steak dishes, but most of everything was what they would say, south of $35 for an entree. Child, listen. The two mimosas by themselves were $15. The wings, the 12 wings were $17, which was, I guess, fine. $17 for 12 wings. They were good though. Mussels were like in the 20s, I think it was. The prices were, you know, the entrees though were in the 40s and in the upper 40s and mid 40s and 50s. It was pricey, those entrees were. And I was just like, you want to charge me this much to eat it here? That was the vibe. It was just a very interesting vibe. So we stuck with more of the finger foods. And the thing was is this, it wasn't that we clearly could afford it, but it was just more of the principle of like, I don't know. I'm rolling the dice. I haven't tried the food under the new ownership in this way. This whole vibe was very different. But let me tell you what it was for me. It was the service for me, y'all. It was the service. And I'm not one of these picky, like, oh my God, my food's not here in 2 minutes. Y'all, it was just the service. I don't know. It's a Friday night, so it shouldn't be slow. But it was just like everybody in there was just hanging out, even though they were on the clock. And like, I'm not one of those people that's like, you got to hurry up now. But like, let me explain. Let me elaborate. We ordered a drink, and it took us 20 minutes before we got our drink because the server said she forgot we ordered it. And had we not just kind of, when she came over and asked about them, she wouldn't have remembered. And it wasn't like she was checking on us much either, because she was too busy getting flirted on by one of the guys who was at the bar, and she just sitting up there just letting this man tell us sweet nothings. And I'm just like, but you're also server and bartender? It was a lot going on. The food situation. Okay, so the food, when it came, was good, but we literally saw our food under the heat thing for like a good 10 minutes. And I was like, it was so jarring that Jamarcus had saw, I was like, yo, that's our food right there. I know that's our food. I'm like, no, that can't be our food because there's just no way that food's just standing there. And we just kept watching and kept watching and kept watching. And I was trying to be considerate. I was not trying to be a diva. I just was really trying to just, chill. But it was like, y'all playing. And it's a Friday night. And I'm just like, it wasn't, to be honest, when we got there, it wasn't that many people there. We kind of came around 8-ish. But by the time we was done with our food and everything was settled around 10, they closed those windows, y'all. They closed up them doors. They told me, oh, it's about to become, Friday night, urban night. I was like, what's urban night? They turned that place into a club, apparently. Bouncer, all of that. It becomes less about being a restaurant. It becomes like they want to turn up in there. I don't know what's going on. But by the time it was 10, we was like, oh, it looked like we need to get up out of here. It looked like they trying to do something else. But apparently they got Taco Tuesdays. They do karaoke nights now. They got a Jamaican Caribbean night one night. It's just a very different vibe. So one of the things I thought about with that was I was telling Jamarcus, and what Jamarcus said, we were just saying, there needs to be a rebrand. He was like, they need to just rebrand it. It's not that it was horrible or bad. Well, the service could be a lot better, but it just seemed like they just can't call this Axum. This needs to be called, Action, rather than Axum, Action. Like, it needs to be something else because to me, it was just not the same place. And I just felt like for them to call it that still, even though they've kept most of the menu items, I just feel like it just needs a rebrand because people are thinking they're going to one place. But let me tell you something, it is far from what it used to be. I mean, the noise level was just like a different noise level. It was just not the same. And I don't necessarily know if that's a bad thing. It's just that it wasn't what I thought I was walking into. So for those who go to Axum, if you want to go, check it out. Maybe this is a new spot for you. Maybe you're looking for an alternative so you don't have to drive all the way down to Germantown or whatever to go to, Lou and Shoes or whatnot. But like there's a new alternative place, maybe, I don't know, a new turn up, a little semi-loungy vibe. You don't want to go to like a huge downtown nightclub, but you also don't want to go to, do you want to go to a cute little local hole in the wall, that's black and blackety black? Maybe this is a spot. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But it was quite an experience. So, moving along. Let's get into these topics that's been going on in the world outside of my world. Trump is finally indicted. Last week I was getting a little upset. I was feeling a little down. I ain't gonna hold you. I was like, you know what? This looks like it's a joke. It's a sham. But, Alvin Bragg, he resurrected that case against Donald Trump. But some serious and some major turning points, crucial turning points led to this, though. Because I remember a year ago, it did feel like a year ago. I remember when this all happened, because I think I was mad at him then. It seemed like this Manhattan district attorney who was really looking into Donald Trump, it looked like that case was in dead water. Everybody thought it was dead. They thought he was letting it go. So for this black man, this black attorney, shout out to these black attorneys kicking ass. My lawyer included. My lawyer is incredible. Incredible. He's a great lawyer. Lucky. Been with him for 5 years. Ever since I started my business and I got into all the work I do, he's been loyal to me. He's great. But I'm grateful for the black attorneys out here that's doing it for real. Because some of these black attorneys, child, they be out here on every case but don't get a win. And then we want to get money and documentaries and book deals. Oop, through shade. Did I throw shade? Maybe. Listen. What I will say is that, Alvin Bragg did his thing. Manhattan District Attorney got up in Donald Trump's ass. So Donald Trump is indicted. He is the first, American president of our time in history to face an indictment. And, my fellow, alma mater, right, the University of Pennsylvania, the school paper I used to write for in college at Daily Pennsylvania, it was hilarious because they led with Wharton grad Trump, indicted. Sir, ma'am, Donald Trump was the former U.S. president. I know we think that Wharton rules the world and that everybody cares, But to like lead with Warden grad, Donald Trump indicted was corny. It was hilarious. It was just like, I don't know. It's just so hilarious. It's funny. It was just like, y'all. So, of course, Philly Mag, we do Philly Today. It's like a series we do every day, like throughout the week of like stories that are happening. It's like a review of the news. And it's been doing really well. And the readers have really been into it. But they did a story about it, about this headline, and it's been getting a lot of traffic and buzz. So like people are really talking about it, but I'm just like, come on, y'all. Like, but it's funny because a lot of other sites have been doing jokes about it. So like there was one joke on Twitter about Trump being indicted, and we're like, what did they say? It was like Home Alone 2, actor Donald Trump indicted. It was like everything but president. But no, a sitting United States president, I'm sorry, a former United States president, is indicted, y'all. And it's behind this hush money situation with Stormy Daniels. Shout out to Stormy Daniels for just consistently, going in. No pun intended. But just, letting the people know what's good, She's been consistent on her critiques about Donald Trump. And she's just been giving the people hell. And, it's real. Now, what I will say is that his former attorney, Michael Cohen, can he just shut up between now and this entire process? Like, seriously, like some of the interviews he's been doing, I've been seeing on CNN and stuff, like he's just, what are you doing? Like, just stop talking. Because some people are debating whether he's going to be a crucial witness, but some of the things he's saying might be hurting his credibility. I'm just like, listen, we don't want to hear it. Be quiet. Your 15 minutes of fame. Like at this point, I feel like now Stormy is Stormy doing what Stormy doing, but Michael Cohen is supposed to be in this position of being a credible, witness, and his credibility is getting a little shaky out there. I just like, be quiet, do what you got to do. Like, what are you doing right now, right? I don't know. I'm just slightly annoyed with him. But before I get into this, shout out to some birthdays. There were two big birthdays that happened over the past couple of days from two good friends of mine, Kelly Mirba, who just had a lovely birthday, and she went to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which, by the way, okay, Chad Williams, I love Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's my favorite restaurant. They got nominated for a James Beard Award, Outstanding Restaurant. And, Philadelphia has won that before. My good friend Michael Solomov at Zahav won that award a couple years ago. Now there's opportunity for Chad Williams, a black man, Philadelphia, to win this award. It is my favorite restaurant in Philadelphia, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So she went to celebrate her birthday. She said the taste of me was phenomenal. It's always phenomenal. And happy birthday to her. And I'm super excited about that. That's some good news. And of course, some other good people of mine got James Beard. So the James Beard Award is like the Oscars of restaurants and food, for those who don't know. A couple other great Philly people got nominated. Kalaya, she got she was nominated for Best Chef in the Mid-Atlantic area. Ellen Yin, who's another good Judy of mine, also got nominated. She owns all the great, some really great restaurants. So it's some good people nominated this year. I'm super excited to see who wins. Fellow Penn alum, I went to school with her, Amanda Schulman, who owns her place, got nominated for Best Emerging Restaurant Owner. So I think she could win too. There's a lot of good things coming out of Philadelphia's food restaurant scene. So super excited about those nominees. Hope they all win. Hope, we bring the gold. Really, really, fingers crossed, really, really want Chad Williams to win. I really want Friday, Saturday, Sunday to win. That to me is my personal thing. Because let me tell y'all right now, I still got a reservation on lock. If I want to go there, I'm grateful. Like, that's just, so just wanted to put that out there. Good restaurant. Don't ruin it. They haven't ruined it yet, okay? But I know some of y'all want to run, but he keeps the place no matter what the climate is. He's going to keep the quality going. My favorite cocktail in the city, my all-time favorite cocktail in Philadelphia, I'm ready to finally say it because it's it's the best cocktail in Philadelphia. It's my favorite cocktail. It's called the Assassin's Handbook. That's what it's called. It's called the Assassin's Handbook. It's a great book. It's a great cocktail. It's called the Assassin's Handbook, and it's at Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's a great cocktail. Head bartender at the time, Paul McDonald, first, would make that drink. It is a great drink. It's got, Appleton rum, cognac, Amaro, mulled wine shrub, other great ingredients, habanero, because it gives that kick of that spice. It's sexy. It's so smooth. And it's a great goddamn drink. That's a cocktail. That's a cocktail. I highly recommend it. That's what a cocktail feels like. So I digress. But happy birthday. And happy birthday to Christopher Bartlett, my good old friend at the William Wade LGBTQ Center. Also had a birthday. We all have to catch up and get drinks and eat and do our thing. But yes, miss y'all. Thank you for being good friends. Thank you for being a friend. Okay. So, in other news that happened, Trump's indicted. We'll see what happens. Excited. I believe this pep walk is going to be taking place on Tuesday. I don't know. I mean, I've seen some of these annoying ass AI photos that kind of have sucked the excitement out, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Vice President Kamala Harris was in Africa. Look, when I heard this news, I wasn't excited, but my good Judy in journalism, Karen Atia, basically did, she has a weekly newsletter for the Washington Post. The headline she went with was Kamala Harris goes to Africa. Color me unimpressed. And it said the thrill is gone was the under message. She went in. She traveled in 2019, in July 2019, she went to Accra in Ghana, and I love me some Ghana. Ghana is like one of my favorite countries to travel to, and one of my favorite countries, period. So she was in Accra during Barack Obama's first visit to the sub-Saharan continent as president. She was a Fulbright scholar studying Ghana and was asked by the U.S. Embassy to be on site during Obama's visit to a hospital. And she talked about how that experience was an excitement. However, she explored and talked about his politics. She said, look, in Africa, the U.S. doesn't walk the walk, is what she said in this newsletter, talking about the hypocrisies of what they've done. And then went to 2016, how, then President Donald Trump, who called African nations shitholes. And also put nonsensical travel bans on many countries, ignored the continent when it came to foreign policy issues. Like they just, under the Trump administration, Africa as a continent overall was not a conversation or priority. And he did a lot of problematic things during that time. But what's interesting is that in this newsletter, Karen Atia says, during Harris's trip to Ghana, she continued the trend of signaling that the United States would invest $100 million for stabilization and defense in West Africa, with an emphasis on supporting rights against extremist groups in the Sahel. And, she just simply said governance and development and human progress cannot happen without peace and security. And she recognized that, but she says that the United States pours money into counterterrorism and military initiatives, drowning out other types of investment. So a lot of her critique is that a lot of the issues that is happening, it's a lot of things that was happening. They focus a lot on militarism and a lot of that kind of stuff. And she just finds a lot of this to just not necessarily be the best thing. And she's, acknowledges, about how there's been homophobia. Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris addressing the LGBTQ rights issues, even in her stop in Ghana. Kamala did say, to her credit, quote, I feel very strongly about the importance of supporting the freedom and supporting the fighting for equality among all people, and that all people be treated equally. And there was a horrible anti-LGBTQ bill that was introduced in Ghana, alarming the human rights community. And then Uganda like last week, had passed that horrible anti-LGBTQ bill, talking about aggravated homosexuality, can be punished with the death penalty. Okay, and people look at this as the Kill the Gays bill, which first came out in 2009, and then they later revised to remove the death penalty, and that happened around 2014. And it died in court, of course, on a technicality. But people are expecting the current leader over there to sign into law. Um, and that's the president, Yari Museveni. So, it's a lot of issues that's happening in Africa. And I think from my perspective, Kamala going now wasn't the thing everyone thought it was going to be. And what's even interesting is that there doesn't seem to be that much media coverage and press around her trip. There were some journalists that were really hype about going, and I can imagine that they called certain people to go out there and travel. She was in Ghana, she was in Tanzania, she was in Gambia, I believe. And the thing is this: there's so much symbolism, there's so much performativeness. And I feel like where we're at in this world right now, we need to spend less time trying to consider what's a good look and just do the damn thing. That's how I feel about it. And I think the trip didn't really do what I think people thought it was going to do. I mean, some people clearly are going to, clout chase off of the experience, and that's their prerogative. That's what they do. But I do think there's something to be said for the fact that she went there and she was pushing the ideals and the policies of a white leader. So where's the independence? Where's the agency to do something different rather than just push what Biden's military focus and focal points are? These conversations about some investments and other issues. It's like Africa deserves to be more than just a conversation around chaos and warfare. It's just so tired. And if you've gone to Africa, if you've visited countries in Africa, like Ghana and other places, you'll find that these people's experiences, the things that they care about, the things that they want is no different from us. They want opportunity and access. They want quality education. They want quality resources. They want to feel safe. They want to raise their families in peace. Like that's the common thread that we all strive for. And I think to go there and to only treat them as a conversation around arms and war and, protection around this, or just have conversations strictly about, diseases, it's just so fucking racist. And I'm just not crazy about it, frankly. I think that continent is the motherland, and it just deserves more, period. So, moving along. Twitter. Everyone's talking about Twitter and the blue check. There's a debate about it. Apparently initially the beginning of the year, the beginning of the month, April Fool, the plan was that there was going to, this man, Elon Musk, was going to take the blue checks off of legacy blue check holders and then have everybody else. The only way you can keep the blue check is you have to financially subscribe. So I am a legacy blue check earner. I got my blue check without having to pay a goddamn dime. I earned it because I was someone that was high profile. I was a journalist. I'm credible. I'm visible. And that's how I got my blue check, okay? I didn't pay anybody. I didn't have to do anything. I just was great. And that's how I got it. And that's how I got my Instagram blue check. That's how I got my Facebook blue check. Like, that's just how I got them. Like, you just be high profile. People call me and I'm like, oh, well, how much do I have to pay for one? That's not how it works. You have to do great things. Now, there might be people that are selling them. I don't know. But that's not my story. That's not my experience. I just was somebody who built a reputable career and was able to have it notified. And because I'm always on the internet and some shit, somebody want to match it and make sure they knew it was Ernest's account. Well, this whole back and forth over the blue check situation with these subscriptions and this shit, people out here buying the blue checks because they want to subscribe. It's created issues with persona for people be impersonating people, which has become a big, huge fucking misinformation, disinformation thing. And Elon doesn't care about any of this and has not thought about this, but trying to find ways to monetize Twitter. Well, guess what? Nobody wants to buy the blue checks because the thing about it is that the whole point was to aspire to get one for those people who gave a damn. And the truth of the matter is, if you sell it, then it loses its value, just like anything. Like if everybody gets one, then it's not valuable anymore. Like the fact that people love Telfar bags is because it's hard to get one of those. So you got to make sure you can get one when you can get one. You know what I'm saying? But like there is a value there. But this feels like giving out participation trophies to everyone. Like if everybody gets a participation trophy, then no one really feels like a winner. I mean, that's just how it reads. So there was a lot of pushback and concern because what basically was going to happen is that the plan initially was that Twitter was going to just push the blue check. They were going to just make everyone subscribe. And if you didn't subscribe, you lost your blue check. Well, as of right now, the only person or entity that has lost the blue check has been the New York Times, which Elon Musk is petty. So they don't have a blue check. But everybody else still has kept theirs. They've kept everybody's blue checks. But now there's a pettiness so far. The new pettiness is that they're keeping the blue checks for legacy because I think they realize that nobody is going to pay to have a blue check. Like that's just not going to happen. So they're like, we ain't paying for it. So if you take everybody's blue checks, these people are not going back to buy them. They're just like, you can kiss my ass. But the pettiness of Elon Musk is that now every person got a blue check, whether they subscribed or did not subscribe, there is a disclaimer on the blue check on every account. So when you click on it, it says, the blue check says, verified account. This account is verified because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue or is a legacy verified account. You see how messy it is? They said because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue or is a legacy verified account. So now it puts in the presumption that you don't know. This person may have bought it, or this person may be a legacy account. You don't know who's legacy and who's not. But I will tell you this though. There was an interesting story that came out that said that half of the Twitter subscribers, half of the Twitter Blue subscribers. Now, Twitter Blue is a subscription that's $8 a month, I believe. They said that half of the people who have that subscribed has less than 1,000 followers. I'm going to repeat that again. Of the people who actually subscribed to get a blue check that did not earn one as a legacy or got one based off of their public persona, they literally said that half of them have less than 1,000 followers on Twitter. So you think about what that means and the implications of that. And all I'm going to say is that for the people out here, y'all know real recognizes real. If you sit up with a blue check talking to me with 500 followers, child, I'm not responding to that, baby. You can have that, honey. You can have that, honey. We're not doing that over here. I'm just saying, we're not doing that over here. So, it's interesting, for sure. It's been very telling. Very telling. For a lot of reasons. But let me tell you, this topic, and this is, so when I did Philadelphia City Council Live last Thursday, because I did, I did want to, say that, this breaking news that came to my desk that I was talking about earlier in the podcast, Councilmember Isaiah Thomas, who is running again for City Council at large, currently in the position, He is serving his, he just finished his first term. He's running for reelection. He has this big bill that has been getting a lot of buzz called Driving Equality, which has gotten a lot of buzz around the criminal justice reform community, activism community, everything else. Well, the FOP tried to sue him and really fight this bill. The bill that he worked with the police department, he worked with the defenders. Larry Krasner seen this policy, this legislation. Everybody seems to be able to come to the table and agree on this policy, which was going to stop these unwarranted stops. Really to crack down on what was really being seen as racial profiling of Black and brown people who was driving while Black. His policy is to crack down on a lot of that unnecessary, excessive stopping of people. Because in those incidents, as you all know, a police encounter being stopped in a situation just because these random stops, it leads to possible extrajudicial police killings. We see a lot of this when we talk about Black Lives Matter, where a lot of times somebody got shot because they was driving. They got pulled over by the police and it's some type of interaction in the car. And it's like, when you look at it, it's broken tail light or some expired coat. It's a lot of little things like that that leads to that. Or even sometimes it could just be just a random search. And like that leads to things that are very violent. So I understood this bill. Well, the FOP tried to sue and push against this driving equality bill, and it was dismissed. The courts dismissed it, so there's going to be no case. It's went through 3 branches of government. It's the law of the land. It's been in place since March of 2022, but now it's in and it's over. It's going to be law. It's law. All these challenges, all of that, it's over. The dark cloud that has kind of been over this is now over it. So this was very crucial and important. And it's a moment. So just wanted to put that out there. That happened. Now, in other news, my brother and I and his girlfriend couldn't stop talking about this dinner table. They're both Temple Owls currently at Temple. The president, the Black president, Jason Wingard, the university's first Black president, resigned. He's no longer president. Pretty much people thought he got ousted. There's speculation behind it. Some of the things I've heard was that it was connected to the fact that he went to the Super Bowl. Then he had a trip in Jamaica, apparently. And a lot of this kind of created the environment where people felt like he was sleeping behind the wheel on addressing the gun violence issue. To be quite honest, where I stand on it, I just feel like the pressure on trying to make him be what the mayor isn't in our city, that our police commissioner is not, that a lot of people that's addressing this issue is a problem. But personally, I don't think, in my mind, my issue and my concern with Jason Wingard wasn't just about, gun violence. I just don't know how much a university president can do. He doesn't have legislative power. I think it's kind of frustrating that he came with his position cleaning up shit that was before him. So that, to me, I'm not sold on the fact that, did y'all expect him to address gun? How did y'all expect him to solve this when we got mayors sleeping behind the wheel, you got police commissioners that's everywhere else other than, in the police department, right? She's at the Dell watching a ton of concerts, What are we talking about here, right? But I do think the big concern was the situation with the unions, the situation with the TAs on strike. I think that the teacher assistant strike, all of that, I feel like that with everything else going on, I think that is what really did it for him, in my opinion. But damn, he only been there for a quick minute. It's not even been that long. And he got a house over there now, allegedly. Was he really in the house? So what, he got to sell the house now? I know he don't want to live around Temple, so what, he going to repossess? Like, what's going to happen? Who going to sell the house? Who want the house? It's just a lot. It's a lot going on over there. But Temple Owls will make it through. Temple Owls always make it through, I suppose. So I want to do some follow-ups on 2 things that happened. Last week, my interview with your fave trash man, Terrell Hagler, came out. I'm all about following up with people. That's a theme. But we did a good interview. And, he followed me on over the weekend and told me that He was happy to talk to me. From my story, he talked about the impact of what happened. He said he felt like he was canceled by the community, by parts of the community he liked. He said a lot of people initially just didn't take him seriously. He was, told to quit, or he was either kicked out or asked to resign from 4 nonprofit boards he sat on. He had a $2,500 $2,500 a month influencer deal, which is some cute money, right? 2,500 a month. That he was doing it as an influencer. That got cut. He had a $100,000 grant that he was given from a local entity that got rescinded. Like, his whole reputation has been dragged through all this. And it just is that, at the end of the day, however you feel about it, this man's been very open and speaking a lot about accountability. And, from what I know, he has not been challenged by the ethics committee. There's been no, investigation to his knowledge. But at the end of the day, it's like so much of this has happened to him. And, it's always important, whether you have a close relationship with somebody or not, check in with folks when they're having that kind of public scrutiny. I know a lot of people, definitely checked in with me just to see if I was good. And, y'all know I'm great right now. But, some people have different circumstances. He has 3 kids that he shared with his ex-wife. And, he's trying to navigate all this at like 33 years old. It's a lot. That's a lot of pressure, a lot of public publicity, So, I'm happy that, I gave him a fair opportunity to tell his story and follow up and talk about just the whole issue around campaign finance laws and things. There needs to be reform. So one of the things that I talked about and what came up in the story. So, for those who don't know what happened, he ran for office as a local kid. He ran for city council at large. During the campaign trail, he was raising money, not that much money. I mean, a little over $20,000. But some of that money he raised, he used for personal expenses such as his Uber rides, food, taking care of his kids, paying gas bills. And according to local campaign finance laws, that's against the law. Like, you cannot do that. You cannot spend campaign finance money for yourself to take care of yourself. The problem with this is that if you run for U.S. Congress, like a federal position, like Congress or U.S. Senate, not state, not local, right? Not local. But if you was to run for Congress, United States Congress, United States Senate, you could do that, though. The rules are different up there than it is locally. And so for people who have tried to navigate these different types of red tapes, someone like him who was a first-time candidate did not know those things. And, he regrets them and he got caught up in a situation where not only was he having his money, but he also wasn't raising enough money to pay the 2 staffers that came on later in his campaign. And so there was controversy there. And it just seemed like he just was not aware of the entire structure. And that's what led to his ultimate, campaign collapsing, basically. He dropped out the race. It was, he didn't have time to get enough signatures, but it just all fell on him. So, it was important to me to follow that. And it was important for me to discuss that issue. So that's how that happened. Yeah. So also in following up the news, listen, y'all know I'm not scared. And I'm not going to say scared. I'm going to say scared. Last week, Pastor Carl Day, was all the conversations around the 76ers arena. He was talking about meet me outside. Some of the people in his comments was calling me a faggot. Literally said that word. There was a lot of energy. And I followed up and I met him outside on 24th and Somersault in North Philly on the corner. It was good. It was a conversation. We had a conversation as grown black men. We didn't agree on everything, but we had a conversation. Because at the end of the day, I met him. I slid in his DMs when everything went down on Friday, when we first had our Twitter exchange. I slid in his DMs and I had just asked him, I said, hey, what's up? You trying to talk? What's good? He said, yeah. Gave me his number. We text. Said, hey, you free? What day? What time? We met up. I said, what block you on? I'm going to meet you there. Met him at, 24th and Somersault at, I think, 3 o'clock on Friday. We was in broad daylight. He was in the corner. I brought some of my boys. He brought the young black men that he was with. And we had a real, conversation outside. And it was a good conversation. I mean, it was a conversation. I was understanding where he was coming from. He was understanding where I was coming from, and it was some food for thought. And we good. We on the same understanding. And I didn't come with a blouse, but I came with a Telfar. Um, inside joke for those who know what happened last week in them comments. I didn't come in a blouse, but I did come with my Telfar. And we took a picture and we talked. It was cool. It was a very productive conversation. I think what needs to happen more, and what I took away from the conversation, is that it just needs to be more inter-community conversations amongst Black and brown spaces about issues. It's too many groups in silos. And as a journalist, I'm someone that's kind of integrating myself in everything because I need to know what's going on in everything. But I'm seeing these big, huge silos and fractures. And it's people that benefit off of that divide because then they can then misinform people. So if we don't know, as Black community leaders and people that are in different spaces operating and doing the work, if everybody don't know what everyone's doing, you can't really lead for the community if we can't get to be on the same page. Look, we don't have to agree about the ways to achieve all the time, but can I know what you're doing? What are you doing? And don't make assumptions about what other people are doing. I typically do my research, but everyone's not doing the research. And it's clear that in having that conversation, that there was so much not known about each other and what we're doing, and how some of those things are common, and some of those things could get common. And that just is something, I'm giving myself grace because I'm 31, so I'm not the person that's been around the block. But some of you folks, and y'all know who y'all are, that's in our community, that's been around here for years, you got to connect people. And you got to do better with making sure that people who are doing this work know of each other. We just got to do it better. There's people I know that do it, right? My good friend Type Smith, he does that work. There's a lot of great people I know that do connect. But there's some folks that be out here, and I don't even want to call people out, but it's just some people out here who do not do that. And then when these things escalate, and they know the person that is going to do the work, that's going to call the thing out, then that's when they fall back. Then that's when they stay silent. Some of the people that was in that conversation with the 76ers arena that know who I am, okay, know me very well. But the funny thing is that Pastor Carl Day, we had never really sat down and had conversation and talked before. But those people know who I am. And so when I was critiquing the way I was, well, they was staying in little group chats and being quiet and kiki high, because look, I'm very aware of who was talking shit now, because what y'all don't expect is for two mature adults to sit down and compare notes and find out, oh, so you didn't know what I knew, we didn't know, and we comparing notes and we realizing, oh, people out here playing both sides. People out here being shady. See, that's how I like to be. When I see a situation with somebody where I'm like, why are we having this conflict? I typically go, somebody must be pitting us against each other. Somebody must be stirring the pot, and I'm going to figure it out. Because I don't have no problem going up to somebody I have beef with if I think I can get to a level of understanding. And so that's what I did. And people hate that because I'm never just going to throw my hands up. If I didn't do nothing wrong and my intentions are pure, I'm never going to run from the person or avoid the situation altogether. That's just not how I get down. But some people do. They conflict averse. And so the conflict bites them in the ass. Or they hold on to the grudge or the beef or wherever it is for like 3,000 years. At some point, you just gotta call a spade a spade. So I'm happy me and him talked. We're definitely, my number, he got my number, I got his number. If there's anything I see and confusion, I got someone to text and talk. I've been I will say I've been very proud of myself for taking the initiatives to have certain conversations with people that I initially did not see eye to eye. with. And I've been doing that lately with people that are mature and open to it. It was no surprise to me, people that, Dr. Mark Loan Hill and I, had some different opinions over the years, a decade of just not talking. It was given Naomi Campbell and, Tyra Banks, at one point in time. But we spoke and had a conversation. Now, look, my book is selling out of his bookstore, and we're in a good place. So that you can do those things, but you just have to be willing. People have to be willing to talk and acknowledge what their problems are and move forward. You can do it. You have to lean into it. I get into my friends' asses about this. See, I'm about to talk some shit. Now, I get into some of my friends' asses about this all the time about like listen, and these are people I wasn't even friends with. Weren't friends. But if you got issues with other friends, and I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about people who got issues with friends in other places. Either just have that conversation and lean into it, just have the conversation, or if that's not what you want to do, just move on. I was in a position where I was like, listen, the situation is not that big for me because I don't know who you are. So like, what's good? And you can do that and you'll be surprised like just how easy the conversation can be. It doesn't have to be super difficult. Sometimes it's just being real and telling the person, hey, these are the things that I have issues with. And honestly, you don't got to be a fight or nothing. Just come into an understanding. And sometimes it don't always work out. And sometimes it can, but you gotta, lean into it, and figure out how you want to show up in it. So, yeah. So, I want to talk about these mayoral candidates because, child, this week, I'm convinced that from now until May 16th, we're going to get surprises, bombshells, and everything else in between. It has been a week. I know I say this all the time, but for the people that's been listening to this show, my good Judy, Miss Suswell, she be listening to this show. She's an avid fan. She knows that when I say, and we're back, she know what time it is. It's iconic. And we're back is an iconic podcasting sound. When I say that and when I end the show, and be well and be best, you know what it is. That is just, what can I say? But people have been following this mayor's race, and I love answering your questions and talking about it to people who talk to me and stuff. And I like to, sometimes I'll have a conversation with one person, and I'm like, you know what? I want to expand this. I want to talk about this on the podcast because I feel like more people need to hear it. So there's a lot going on. I don't know. So here's what I'm sensing. The race is taking an interesting tide. It's becoming focused on three women. Three women are starting to stand out to me in this race. And I'm under the impression, I'm no Nate Silver, but I'm under the impression, and I don't want to even be Nate Silver, let me clarify that. I'm under the impression that this race is going to be boiling down to three women. I don't know if they'll be the top three in voter, but I know one of these three will win mayor, in my opinion. If I was predicting today, it's going to be one of these three women. And anybody who's been following this race knows the three women I'm talking about. It's either going to be Helen Gim, Rebecca Reinhardt, or Sherelle Parker. I am about certain that that's where we are. If I'm wrong, change my mind. But I'm saying that right now, this race is getting real, and I'm starting to see fractions coalesce behind one of these three women. One of these three women will be Philadelphia's next mayor. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but y'all know I typically am right. I think one of these three women will win. I don't know. The pathway to victory is complicated. And some of these women have higher chances than others. But there seems to be a shift right now that's been taking place over the past few days, and I've noticed it. And I think voters, if you don't know, now you know. I'm seeing some shifts. I'm seeing some things happen on this, and I think it's important for me to talk about it. So let me break this down. So I saw, I don't know, who did I talk about? I'll talk about Helen. Helen's had an interesting week. There was a lot of controversy around me calling her out on Twitter because this week there was an incident at an apartment complex. there was a plain clothed type of officer, not official police, but he was armed and he was in a position to take a tenant out who did not pay their rent. They were evicted, but they were still staying there. The incident escalated to the point where this person shot the tenant. And it has raised a lot of concerns about people's living rights and residence rights and the conditions and everything. It's a very traumatic situation altogether. Well, Helen Ginn went on Twitter to speak about the properties, and she called out the properties in this policy and, went on this whole thread about it. And for me, I noticed something. The property that she was speaking about was owned by a developer, and this developer had given her $3,100 on December 16, 2022, which was the maximum that can be given out to her at the end of the fiscal year of 2022 for her campaign. And so for me, knowing this detail, and let me be clear, this developer is given to other candidates, but it's important to note that she was calling out this particular property and its residency and these issues. And I just feel like you're calling out this property, the owner. The owner gave your campaign money. You giving that money back? And I asked that. I want to know, are you going to give that money back? Because the property to which this incident happened, that has this policy that allows for these individuals to be armed, to come to people's house, that's under this person's property. You're getting money from that developer and from that owner. How do you reconcile that in your mind? Like, how do you do both? And it's interesting because she has a track record, as you know, of calling people out. Calling people out for these types of connections and relationships and things. But throughout this mayoral campaign, there's been just so much of this interesting hopscotch. And so I asked that question. She did not answer me. But her white progressive followers started to call me out. They said, oh, you only go after Helen. You're only calling out Helen. Why aren't you keeping that same energy for other people? First of all, don't use black vernacular. Black people say, keep that same energy. And don't you ever tell me to keep that same energy on anything in your life, because let me be very clear with you. I wouldn't have to keep that same energy if you actually brought energy and if you actually did not be racist in the way that you would target people. You don't keep that same energy for Helen. You don't keep the same energy that you keep for a lot of these black elected officials when compared to white elected officials. You don't keep that same energy when it comes to the way that you live your life in your little gentrified neighborhoods and bike lanes, the way that you do with black people that live in areas that's impacted by the gentrification that you've caused. Like, stop it. Don't ever tell me in your natural born life to keep that same energy. Because if anything, I'm keeping energy, I'm keeping equilibrium, I'm keeping it all. So don't do me, boo-boo. Don't do me. That's what you're not going to do. But it's stupid because these people are like telling me to keep that same energy, and everyone's like, actually, Ernest has been keeping the same energy like the entire time. It's your favorite newspapers who haven't been keeping that same energy, which is why when I put something out, people are like, well, that's interesting. Why didn't this publication say anything? Because, let me be quiet, not going to go there. Maybe because their priorities are not the same priorities that I have. Because as a black journalist, I don't see any of these candidates above reproach. All of these candidates have their missteps. And I've written about them. And I know there's some people listening to this podcast as I'm speaking and saying this, going like nodding their head like, yes. Do y'all read? Are y'all reading the articles? It's because it's funny because somebody keeps saying to me, well, I don't know who you're voting for. I don't really know who you like. Because it's not for you to know. Because to be honest, there are times when I don't even know. And that's what I'm doing. I'm exploring this mayoral candidates race with y'all. I'm learning about the candidates. I'm studying them. I'm figuring out who I'm for and why. I'm trying to figure it out. But to be honest, it's nobody. It's like if I came into this with one person in mind and I said, fuck everything, then that's not what the journalists do. I'm learning with the people. And I want y'all to learn too. I want y'all to know more about these candidates. The April issue of Philly Mag is in stores all across Philadelphia and the region, right? Pick up this upcoming issue. I am one of the writers that was a part of this big Mayoral candidates package. I'm proud of the package. I love the package. I'm happy for the package. And it's a nice situation. I'm really proud of the journalists and the reporters and the folks that worked on it with me. I interviewed Rebecca Reinhardt. I interviewed Amin Brown. I interviewed Derek Green. I interviewed 3 of the candidates, and I helped, with the assignments and talking to the consultants and different people that was a part of the project. We got some great folks in there that provide great commentary. You got Larry Seisler, you got Joanne Bell, you got Sam Katz, you have Joe Hill. You got some good people in the mix, talking about the race and everything. So I'm really happy with that. Read that guide, y'all. Like, all the candidates are talked about, reported on. We discussed the weaknesses, the strengths. It's a very thorough guide, and it's actually online at phillymag.com as well. So you can get it on phillymag.com or pick up the physical copy, because the art layout work and the graphics are so divine and gorgeous. So whatever you do, I'm in that magazine. I was in the March issue, doing the gun violence spread, participating in that. Then I'm back again for this Mayoral spread. So this is my, I'm in the print and in the digital. So yeah, I'm super excited about that spread. So check it out. But I just say I say all this to say that it's good that people don't really know who I like in this race, or who I prefer, or who I'm voting for. Because honestly, I'm not sold 100%. Now there is a candidate that I am seeing potential in, but that's just on an observation based on the coverage and based on information. But I'm not endorsing a candidate right now. The answer is right now. I'm not endorsing a candidate right now. It's too early, in my opinion, personally, because for those people that endorse Jeff Brown, I'm looking at them like, would some of y'all still do that with this information that just came out? So it's just a lot to process. So I think it's too early. So don't ask me, unless, you my close friend, okay, and emphasis on close friend, who I'm feeling. Don't ask me, because honestly, everybody is still doing things that every time I'm thinking, I'm like, I like this person. Then I'm like, damn, see, that's why I can't do it. Or somebody that I shut off and I'm like, oh, maybe I should reconsider them. And then they do this. And I'm like, well, see, that's why I can't even look at you, because you on that. So it's hard to process, these candidates. It's always something every week, y'all. So it's just, just watch and look carefully. Be critical thinkers. Let's just be critical thinkers, because this is a very important race. In Philly Mag, we describe this as the mayoral race of a generation. This is a consequential race. This is the most pivotal race in a generation. We have never, this is a big damn deal. The next Philadelphia mayor, the 100th mayor, like, this is fun a little bit, because I don't have a clue who's going to get it. I don't know who's actually going to win. I couldn't tell you who's going to have the shot. It's really hard to determine who's going to win right now, because everybody, I'm not saying everybody, but there are so many people that are super close to this moment, and this is historical, and it's really hard to just simply, say so-and-so's got the race, because every time I think I know who's getting close, somebody else just comes in and just steals the thunder. So let me just start off by talking about these 3 women and then talk about the other folks. So, Helen, what I'm hearing and sensing about Helen Gim is that, look, she looks like she's definitely up there in the conversation. Her money's looking good. She's put a couple of TV ads, I suppose. I saw one of them. She's got a nice core base. But what I'm hearing from pollsters, and I'm going to be very clear about this, because it's not that many polls out, but what I'm hearing is that it looks like she's locked. She's not moving. She's got a nice core number. It's a double digit. I've heard the number 13. I've heard the number 18. I'm talking about percentage-wise. That she has a number. It's a high number, but there's no potential of the number going up. So, like, while there's other candidates that's gaining steam and some losing some steam, she's not gaining any steam and she's not losing any steam. And so it's almost as if she needs to just stay in, like, her chances of winning will be predicated on if everybody stays in the race as of right now. She might be able to lock in a core number, but it doesn't seem like there's anything moving. And allegedly, that is scaring some people in her core campaign. That is, okay, while she's not losing anything, she's not gaining anything. And so any other candidate that's near her has potential to pick up and overshadow her, which could happen, And if anybody drops out this race right now, it is spelling trouble for her because she isn't appearing to lock in any new people. And part of that could be because she is such a very polarizing candidate that in some sense that's good for her because it's like, yo, she's got a core base. But what's bad about that is that you have no flexibility to move. So when you're in a race with so many people that's crowded, it could get weird with if someone drops out or someone else, then who's going to pick up those percentage points? And it doesn't look like she's getting any major core demographics outside of what she has. So it looks like she's going to get apparently young voters, young diverse voters might overall go for her. But she's not picking up any moderate votes. She's not picking up any black voters who are older. She's not picking up any white centrist votes. I mean, it's just a lot of other pockets that she's not getting. And so it just seems like she's kind of stuck in this plateau number based on what I've heard from some pollsters. Hey, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that that's what it's looking like right now. And even on the campaign trail, the momentum just seems to be kind of wiggly with her. She has her core support, but you're not seeing any new gains. There's no new outside groups. I mean, Jane Fonda endorsing her, that's cute, but Jane don't live in Philadelphia. So that national support don't carry the same weight, but she's not getting any major players that's endorsing her outside of what we already expected. So the campaign's got this weird momentum right now where you can't sleep on her, you can't forget about her because she's got some money in the race, some serious money, but it just seems like the momentum and excitement isn't just there for her right now. She's got her core base on Twitter. They're going after anybody who criticizes her. It's giving Bernie Sanders all over again. But at the same time, so I don't know. I think given what's going on around, this is not necessarily the best time for Helen Gannon's campaign. But she could still win if, come election day, all these people who've been staying on the sidelines, they're going to have a hard time figuring out what they're going to do. She might be able to pull it, but young voters are not coming to the polls as much as they should. And if that's a strong contingent on her voter turnout, it can be iffy for her. So we'll see where it goes with her. Now, let's talk about Sherelle Parker. Sherelle Parker has been picking up some steam. It seems like the black coalitions of elected officials are backing her. She is appearing to be the black candidate in this race. It's just a fact. Like, she's getting major, endorsements from a lot of major black elected officials, state reps. There's a family divide now with the streets because, former mayor John Street endorsed Rebecca Reinhardt, but his son Sharif Street, who is the state senator and also the leader of the state Democratic Party, he endorsed Sherelle Parker. Donna Bullock endorsed Sherelle Parker. Vincent Hughes endorsed Sherelle Parker. A couple other people are coming through to endorse her. So she's got this back. I mean, of course, Ryan Boyer, the building trades, the carpenters. She's getting some strong union support. She's got a fighting chance now. Initially, it was looking real soft. But, apparently there was a get down and lay down type of conversation, allegedly, that happened amongst some of these black party leaders, and some demands were made. And everybody start coughing up the endorsements now. So it seems to be some momentum from Sherelle. The only thing I will say is that Derek Green is not giving up. And Derek Green is going to be her kryptonite because he just dropped two very sentimental, very big ads. One ad talking about his son, raising his son with autism. He's always been a respected autism advocate in Philadelphia. You cannot take that from that man. He is one of the few real vocal black politicians in Philadelphia on the conversation of autism. And so it was a very touching ad. And apparently, from what I've heard from close sources, some people said, like, hey, this is his Hail Mary. This is his last go around. Like, he wants to see if these ads and these conversations will give his election some jolt. But if it don't, he might actually get out the race. I mean, he doesn't really have much to lose, but him staying in the race is going to hurt people like Sherelle Parker, because they both are in the Northwest. And so the thing about Sherelle is that while she's carving out this Black support, I don't know if that's going to be enough. She's trying to get support from the Northeast. She's trying to build some coalitions there. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's enough to take her to the top, given how crowded this race is, especially if no one leaves or moves. So that's going to be her biggest challenge, is like, how does she prove and establish herself among some of these voters that she is able to, to win, but she does have a fighting chance. I can't take that from her, of course. And then we have Rebecca Reinhardt. So Rebecca Reinhardt, I mean, she's bringing it. There was something I read earlier today on Twitter, earlier this weekend on Twitter, and this stood out to me. And I really thought, I was like, wow, this is interesting, because I was like, maybe this is an interesting point. But the momentum, or the juggernaut, as it was described, there's a juggernaut experience that we're seeing with her. 2 weeks in the Reinhardt campaign, in these last 2 weeks, on March 15th, former Mayor Michael Nutter endorsed her. On March 17th, the 5th Ward, which is really one of the 3 power wards in regards to voter turnout and engagement, they endorsed her. On March 20th, she's got this ad that, that campaign ad that a lot of people have buzz about. And she has, Nutter and John Street sitting amicably side by side to co-endorse her. Now, anybody who knows politics in Philly, they know that John Street and Michael Nutter don't really see eye to eye on anything. But the two of them could sit down and get together. 2 Black mayors, our last 2 Black mayors, our last 2 great mayors, got behind and endorsed Rebecca. And then on March 24th, the 9th Ward endorsed her. And then on March 30th, the 8th Ward, which is the home, mind you, to 4 of the mayoral contenders, endorsed her. So 4 of her contenders live in the 8th Ward. She got that endorsement, and she got the 9th Ward endorsement. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You cannot sleep on that, given who is in those positions. The people that's committee people in that ward divisions. You got Nina Ahmad. You got some other people, some big names that's a part of that group. So this is no joke. Aaron Santamore is a part of that ward. You got some big names of folks that's connected. So for her to get that endorsement is a pretty big deal, to say the least. It's something to be said. So from where I stand, there is seeming to be a coalition of certain Democrats who are moving towards her direction, trying to coalesce. And I'm wondering, is she picking up pieces of Allen momentum? Is she, Buzz? Is she picking up Jeff Brown's support she's getting from pockets of Black voters? Is she building up these percentages to give her the boost over Helen that she might not have? Who knows? I haven't seen any major recent polling, but based on some of the numbers I'm looking at from previous polling for what they're worth, it just seems like you can just see people eating at pieces. Now, one candidate who's not giving up and is not putting down a fight is Amin Brown. He is, of course, the state rep in West Philadelphia. I mean, his chances of winning right now, unless there is a major miracle, it it's virtually slim. But apparently, there's speculation that some big money is going to drop down. There's, he's out here going to, he beat the charges. Jeff Brown, his a lawyer who's in his camp challenged, was a lawyer that challenged Amon. Amon was only mayoral candidate that was challenged. He beat the case, y'all. He beat the charges. He's on the ballot. He's running, and he is, antagonizing Jeff. He's going out to ShopRites with his big, huge black campaign, bus or whatnot, or whatever. And he's getting the word out. And part of the fear that apparently Jeff Brown's camp have with Amon is that they have the same last name. And so the way that they're positioned on ballot, the same last name, they fear that Amon will be eating up some of their votes. So they don't want to have another Brown in the race. But Amon's playing into it. He's leaning into it and is giving Jeff Brown allegedly the heebie-jeebies, okay? He is getting very, very bothered. So that's going on. It's a lot. This is Philly politics. It's just Philly politics at its absolute finest. So, who are the other people running, right? Who are the other people that's shaking up the table, allegedly? I definitely think that Maria Quinoa Sanchez is a great, she was a great city councilwoman. I'm just trying to figure out where the momentum is coming. She got endorsed by a Latino voter coalition, a group of the Latino Victory Fund, I believe. They endorsed her. She'll be the first Latina and woman to be elected mayor if she got elected. But there doesn't seem to be any major other outside buzz. And I think she's got a lot of money in the race herself, but I just think she's just still there. And that's, that's very, she has the right to run her race, but it's going to be interesting to see what her pathway to victory is at this point. Look, people, we're close to a month away from the election. At this point, it's time for us to really get real and get honest about the chances, because some people are just blossoming right now and really putting out their fight, and some people it's just kind of like, it's just, great words, great rhetoric, but I'm not seeing the fire. I'm just not seeing the momentum. I'm not seeing the drive. And so it's been a very interesting election cycle. I will personally say the at-large candidates, I'm not really that impressed with that many of them. There's a couple people that's putting up a good fight, but the rest of them, some of them, I'm just not impressed. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm just not impressed. I'm just like, you just want another job. You don't have a job. You're looking for a job. This is the job, There's a lot of that going on. So I'm mixed. I'm mixed about some of the things I'm seeing and hearing and grooving to be honest. I'm just keeping one eye open with some of it, to be real with you all. But that's how I feel. People are like, how you feel about the race? So I'm there. Now, let's talk about it. Jeff Brown. Let's talk about it. So on Friday afternoon, I got a video, and this is the clip.
A lot of the insiders, they don't want an outsider, because all the things they do, to me, some of them are horrible. That they have their little deal amongst themselves, and if the citizens knew, they'd lynch them.
Right, that part of inside politics is really
it's ugly.
But there's a good side.
Now I'm going to bring that right back again. Let me bring some of that right back again, just in case you didn't hear that part.
Themselves, and if the citizens knew, they'd lynch them.
Right.
And if the citizens knew, they'd lynch them.
Right.
They have their little deal amongst themselves, and if the citizens knew, they'd lynch them.
He said, okay, let me be very clear what he said. He said a lot of the insiders, they don't want an outsider because all the things they do, to me, some of them are horrifying. That they have their little deal amongst themselves, and that the citizens knew, they lynched them. It is 2023, and Philadelphia mayoral candidate Jeff Brown is out here talking about how citizens would lynch his fellow, mostly black and brown opponents. Now let's hear that again.
They have their little deal amongst themselves, and if the citizens knew, they'd lynch them.
Right. No, that,
I don't know how you just say that casually out of your mouth. Like it's just casual. Like this man has said this many times.
That they have their little deal amongst themselves, and if the citizens knew, they'd lynch them.
right. No, that part of inside politics is really
It's
bad,
ugly.
But there's a good side.
Like he just said it naturally. Like he just said it like, if the citizens knew, they lynched him. And he's talking to another white man, mind you. He's having a conversation at the University of Pennsylvania. And he was there for the Philadelphia Crosstown Coalition, which they had a candidates forum last Tuesday. And he was at the University of Pennsylvania at Houston Hall. I've been to many parties at Houston Hall at the University of Pennsylvania. And to know that I was on that campus, not at that time, but the fact that this man casually just was like, they lynched them. What? Who talks like that? Like, how do you just say that? You must have said this before. You must have said it, because no one just uses a word like that and not think. And you're saying this to another white man who appears to be someone who's coming to the candidates forum. Maybe he's a voter. He's an unidentified white man. It's a candidates forum, so I would assume he's a voter. And you're having casual conversation, and you're standing up in a suit, very cavalier, while this man is sitting down, and you're saying this just so comfortable. And it's almost like, why would you think that that would be the best type of word to say? You're a businessman. You're a man who's been in the business industry. You've worked with countless black people. You should know better. At least that's what I would assume. So, interesting enough, he said in a statement, he apologized. And he said also that, the word lynch, quote, he told this to the Philadelphia Inquirer, is hurtful to so many and has no place in public discourse. He says, quote, I think my record speaks for itself. And even though there was no racial intent, I understand that my words were offensive. I promise to do better in the future. Listen. I don't know how many times, but in the words of the incredible late great poet Maya Angelou, believe people when they show you who they are the first time. You don't remember what people do to you, but you remember how people make you feel. And the reality is that this man has been flip-floppity-floppeting since the beginning of this campaign. He started off talking about black people as his life's work in a January forum, which was like creepy and phony as fuck. He decides to, go to the Northeast, right, and talk about how, well, let me backpedal. He's in West Philly with black voters, telling them that the police budget pretty much, in his words, they got enough money. That's what he said to black voters, trying to appear to be woke, right? The police budget got enough money. So he didn't have any plans to increase the budget. That's what he said to black voters and black folks in West Philly. But then a week later, he goes to Northeast and in a predominantly blue, white-collar area, tells these mostly white voters, when asked, was how much of a priority was raising the police budget, he said it was the number one priority. Raising the police budget was the number one priority. But then he goes further to go after Larry Krasner, the DA, District Attorney Larry Krasner, but then turns around and says he's going to repeal the driving equality bill, Isaiah Thomas's bill, that racial justice bill. And then when, he got caught, flip-flopping, he backed up his statement, recanted his statement altogether on that matter, and said that that's not what he planned to do. But between you and I, and insiders who told me, of course, is that apparently there was some smoke between Isaiah Thomas's camp and, of course, Jeff Brown's camp he had for the fact that this was called into question. And so to avoid a lot of the drama throughout the duration of his race, he backpedaled on it, of course, because he knew he had got caught. But see, the rhetoric and the misinformation that Jeff Brown had spewed around the driving equality bill before those Northeast voters really put a target on his black elected officials' back. And he didn't care because he was trying to look good for one group. So this is the man who was telling everybody what they want to hear. It's code switching. And it's disgusting because at the end of the day, he's not code switching for for actual human, survival, right? When black folks oftentimes code switch, most of the time it's because of a means of survival, because in certain society and places, if they are to, talk in their own natural vernacular, that can lead to them not getting job opportunities and actually being marginalized, further marginalized. But if you're Jeff Brown, you're code switching because you want to just basically win a mayoral race, even though you're a multimillionaire, even though you already own countless properties and business throughout Philadelphia. But for you, you just want to get another mayoral title because you just want to keep on chasing trophies for the rest of your life. And so this is for your ego versus for other people, this is a means of survival. But this man is code switching. And we know what that means. Black and brown people know what code switching is. We know what it means to change it up and switch it up for integration, for assimilation, to be honest. And to see this man do this in this way, it's dishonest, it's disingenuous, and it's disgusting, and it's harmful, and it's problematic. And they're going to always keep making excuses for him. Excuses. One of the things I saw, I saw this graphic and it went viral, this image of a store in West Philadelphia where there is a brown ShopRite, and the ShopRite image has a gold tooth and an earring in the ear. And, the thing for me is that I asked him, it's clearly there at that location. Hey, can you explain this? Now, for me, when I looked at the graphic, it does not look or feel like it was just the way that the graphic is done and the way it's matted, it doesn't look like some random kid, because the way it was done did it. I could be wrong. It could be his team, a staffer, whomever, but there needs to be explanation because I don't want to make any assumptions anymore with this man. And I won't even get into why I will say that, but I will say this much to you all. If I did not have that video footage, because I'm the one who broke this story, I'm the one who put the video out, the Inquirer cited me for this. If I didn't put that video out, I am 100% certain that he would have lied. If I would have simply just said that there is word on the street that Jeff Brown referred to his candidates as lynching, and I would have never showed the video. And it was Jeff Brown would have probably, and I'm telling you this because there's something I know, and I'm not going to say specifics, but there could have been a strong possibility I have, that he would have lied, that his team would have denied it, and that they would have just said, it's just anybody out here spreading rumors, there's no fuss, there's no anything. But because I had that video, and because he was there visibly saying it and doing it, they couldn't deny it. And so I have learned in my work that I'm not going to assume anything from people who have a track record of backpedaling and flip-flopping. you can answer it and you can tell your account if, but us as voters, one thing I wanted people to do, and this is my personal opinion, I'm a journalist, so I don't do this, but like, stop trying to talk on other people's behalf that are in power. You got to ask them straight up. Did you do this? Did you say this? If you didn't, who did? But let them talk. It's too many people talking for people because they're just so paternalistic, so pressed, so thirsty to get validation and act. Listen, this is a mayoral's race. This is not a concert. This is not your favorite, pick your favorite stand music artist. This is a goddamn mayoral's race. And everybody that's running needs to be accountable for the things that happen on their campaign. Thousands of dollars are being used to fund canvassers, comms teams, consultants, and groups. Let those people do their job. Let those people talk for themselves. Because I remember it like it was yesterday when the Helen Gim at the Union League, when I dropped that photo. And I was a part of the people that put that first out there, and I had the photo. And everybody was coming to me like, oh, whoa, that may not be her. That was her, right? Whoa, that could be an old photo. How do we know that's a new photo? I just remember it was so many people ready to assume something different. And so had I not had the receipt, which was the receipt showed that the outfit she wore that day was the same outfit she wore earlier that day with the endorsement, I had to go into my fashionista bag and be like, okay, y'all, that outfit is the same outfit she wore earlier today. Now what? But like, that's what I'm saying. Like, people, it's like specifically a lot of times with Black journalists, we are never given the benefit of the doubt. We're never given the same grace and benefit of doubt that people give people of power and white journalists. It's just very much hypocrisy. Like, we have to be super on it. We have to have all of it. I've been dropping receipts in tea for a while. I remember when back in the day, which was 2016, 2015, I was like, there's racism in the neighborhood, y'all. And folks were like, no, it's not. No, it's not. There's no racism. No, it's not. And I literally had to drop a video of the owner of Eye Candy at the time, that Eye Candy don't exist anymore, saying the N-word on video before people was like, oh, okay. But I remember that there's a Timberland policy. I've interviewed countless Black and brown people that said they had issues there. And those people's stories were being denied, dismissed. There was 1,000 excuses and misinterpretations. But I literally had to get a video of somebody verbally saying the N-word before people was like, oh my goodness, the bar owner at the same bar that did not allow Timberland boots was the same person that later, that said on the video the N-word in reference to a Black gay man in the community. Like, I had to literally have a video. So I know how this game works. And what's so sad to me is that this is a culture of white people that talk about how they're progressives, but you victim blame and you isolate folks that share accounts. It's like, I get it, but like, not everybody's going to always have a camera. Not everyone's always going to have those things. And sometimes, there needs to be some validity and credibility, but trust. But I know in this world, in journalism, it is show and tell. And so I showed and I told. And, we'll see where it goes. So, speaking of people I need to shut up, Jonathan Majors' team, y'all. People ask me, this Jonathan Majors thing is just, it's ugly. His lawyer put out this message between allegedly Jonathan Majors and the woman, his ex-girlfriend, who accused him, or at least, there was connections to the charges around assault. These incriminating messages showing her, basically trying to deny it. Well, not really deny that it happened, but just really trying to apologize and get back, kind of get back in communication with him and stuff. And they put this out there as a way to try to discredit the account. But I really think it backfired, in my opinion, in the sense that, first of all, what lawyer is going to just put out these messages like this in this type of way? And reading the messages myself and interpreting them in my own personal opinion, I don't feel like it negated what she alleged. It seemed like there was something deep and there's emotions. And research shows that, people who experience domestic violence from a partner or a lover is not necessarily going to just leave them immediately on the first time. Based on whatever the familiarity is, the vulnerability, the power dynamics, the financial, dynamics, there's a lot of elements that would keep a person with somebody. And we've seen these situations. We know these stories. It's never the first hit, the second hit. Sometimes it's about 7 times. And it's not easy. I've never been in an abusive relationship. In the past, I was in a situation with someone where this was when I was in college. A dude thought he was going to get a little too comfortable. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm still 6 foot tall and I still got hands. Like, we're not doing that. And that relationship did not last that long. But it's just, everybody's different. Everybody is different. And there's no judgment on how people sometimes can respond to those situations. A person can stay longer for various reasons. I was fortunate and blessed to have a strong family, friend support system, and people that, look, I didn't have to stay. I had a life outside of that relationship. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't like a situation where I had to be like, I had nowhere else to go. Now, I have people who I've known in my life that was in violent relationships. And, people don't talk about this, though. I just want to put this out. But their intimate partner violence in queer communities, specifically lesbian, queer women relationships, are extremely high. And no one talks about it in queer communities a lot. But there is some strong data around intimate partner violence in same gender-loving relationships that people do not talk about. Fortunately, I'm in a healthy, loving relationship with my husband, and we date. We've been together for, 9 years now as a couple. We never felt the need to resort to violence. Arguments, debates, all that chatter, that's what couples do. That's life. But violence? No. And so when I hear people say things like, oh, that's because you love each other. When y'all fighting like that, that's love. No, it's not. We have to stop telling people that it is. We have to stop acting like, somehow there's excitement and passion when someone yells and get mad and breaks shit. Listen. Everybody, listen, I'm not the one to tell everybody how to live their life all the way. But we just need to reevaluate what love and care and consideration looks like in any relationship. I'm not saying that every person that raises their voice is abusive all the time. I'm not saying that a person can't have a moment where they get really upset and punch a hole in the wall, whatever the case is. I'm not speaking for myself or my relationship. I'm just saying, seeing dynamics in other people's relationships, I'm saying overall that you should not live in terror and fear. And if you're in a relationship where you're living in terror and fear, where you feel like you're walking on eggshells, when you are trembling, when your blood pressure goes up, when your heartbeat changes in a dynamic, when you feel like you might say something wrong and it can create chaos, when you're in that type of level of hurt and fear, that's not a healthy relationship. That's not a healthy relationship. And there's a lot of people who are living in relationships like that, and they think that as long as there isn't any physical violence, if you have the perception that there could be, if you feel that intimidated and threatened, it's just not, those are not goals. A lot of people will talk about how marriages and relationships don't last as long because people, don't stay and stick with it. there's some shit that you don't gotta stick with and stay with it. All this, back in the day, grandmas and stuff. Well, listen. What I'll say is that back in the day, women didn't have the right to own credit cards. Women didn't have the right to have jobs and get certain pay and get opportunities, positions. Women had to literally, if they had a divorce, they literally was completely blackballed in society. That's not the case today. So when people reference what our grandparents did, I oftentimes push back and say, well, did they really have any other options? Especially black and brown women back in those days. Did they really have any options to leave? Like, was leaving really ever an option anyway? They thought that that was what love was. They had to endure. That was the culture. The man could just, Papa could be a Rolling Stone and have 5, 3, 2, 4, 5 babies outside the marriage, and you just learn how to deal with that because he was at home and he was yours, or you thought he was yours, or you thought because the vows you took that that's what it's supposed to be. It don't have to be that way. And so I just think as we become a more modern society, yes, there is still the interest in traditional marriage, and that's people's prerogative, but we also have to have it with a modern mind. I don't mind the institution of marriage. I'm happy I'm married. I believe in marriage. I'm happy I'm married. Look, marriage is good for me. It may not be good for other people, but let's be clear to those people that say it's not good for them. Is that your choice, or is that what he's telling you? Oop, never mind. But I say all this to say is if this is, you can have that wedding. You can do those things if you want to, and there's no shame in that. However, how you navigate boundaries, how you navigate protection and safety should be with a modern lens. It can't be the same lens of our grandparents or our ancestors, because the circumstances in the world was different back then. So you can't keep the same patriarchal ideals all the way intact. There has to be a more progressive modern lens on how we view those things, where we allow both partners, both spouses in the situation, whether it's same gender loving or opposite sex, that both people feel like they have agency and empowerment in a relationship. That's very crucial. A lot of people out here are not understanding that you can still be faithful and love and supportive of your spouse without feeling like they have to subjugate to some level of submission that isn't of their choice. I submit when I choose to submit. And I submit when where and how I submit in which aspect of the marriage I want to. Everybody's submitting in different ways. But is the word really submit? Or is it just really that you give a fuck? Because if you care about someone, why do we call that submission? As if there's some, coercion there. No, people choose to support how they choose to and love. So when I hear this word submit and all these terms, I'm just like, why is it so, barbaric? Why is it so primitive? This is like primitive language. Like, why are we acting like there's some put down, up, down shit? Just fucking be there. And people who are really in love with each other recognizes that. That's all you got to do is show the fuck up. But I guess I digress to say that, because I went into a whole tangent, but it's real. But like the Jonathan Majors of the world, I'm not feeling it. I just, it's not looking, this big old bombshell, like all of a sudden this is going to go away. That's what the lawyers were acting like last week. Kind of didn't go down that way. It's looking really weird. It's looking very sus. We'll see what happens though. So this came from the fans. Somebody wanted me to talk about Latasha Scott and his sister, Tamika Scott. Latasha Scott apologized to her sister. She keeps claiming she did not steal this $30,000. For people who know, Latasha Scott and Tamika Scott are sisters that are part of the group Escape. There was this big old show on Bravo that came on this reality show, and Tamika decided that she wanted to... Tamika has been publicly putting out receipts and claiming that her sister has stole this money from this group. This was a big hot 90s group back in the day. Now, they had a show with SWV and them called the R&B Divas, the real R&B Queens of Divas. Someone's like, R&B, the real Divas of R&B, some show like that. But it was on Bravo, and there's been this drama since the show came out about them. And so the show was called SWV and Escape Queens of R&B. That's the name of the show. But apparently, Latasha Scott, she wants to have a solo career as a gospel artist. She went on Instagram Live, talk about her open marriage or her freaky sex life with her husband, talked about the situation going on with her sister. It's just way too much, girl. All this to sell a gospel album. Miss me with that. But justice for Tamika, in my opinion. Rita's beer. Rita's is making their own variation of a beer that's flavored. It's a no for me, dog. I'm sorry. It's a no for me. I'm sorry, but I can't do it. I'm not even into beer, but I don't know. It's something lately. Like, I remember a friend of mine a couple years ago used to love them some Bud Light margaritas or some butter readers or whatever the fuck they was calling it. Even though I know it was not Bud Light beer, Limeritas, I guess they were called. Whatever. It just used to make my stomach churn seeing people drink out those cans. Because no matter, even though I know they said that that's not beer, it's a separate liquor drink, just seeing the Bud Light logo on the damn can that had a picture of a fruit or a watermelon, I just felt like it just gave me a nasty thought. Like, the idea of Bud Light is disgusting to me. But people used to talk about, oh, they're Limeritas or this. Well, just get you a goddamn margarita, for crying out loud. Don't get that shit, that sugary crap. That crap, it don't even do anything for you. It's nasty. I don't like the way it smells. Ugh, I used to be, listen, back in the day, I used to date, okay? I used to date. So when I be referring to the fact that I was born, yeah, I dated, I was cute. I'm cute. I went on a date one time with a guy we was at a cookout, and it was like a frat situation, and they had those disgusting things in the cooler. And what did I drink? Because they didn't have anything I liked. Oh, they had a Mike's Hard Lemonade. That's all they had I could drink. I had one of those, and it was like the raspberry berry one they had. They didn't have the plain one. And that one was pink, and it was really good. So I was drinking that. And they have a Lynchburg Punch from Jack Daniels. They might have had the Lynchburg Punch. But we don't use the word lynch that much either, you know. But they had that too. But they had those damn ass Bud Light margarita things. And he drinks this, and while he's talking to me, I can smell it on his breath. And I was just like, oh my God, oh no. Ooh. It just has a cheap smell to it. I don't like it. So I think of that when I think of this Rita's beer thing. I'm thinking of some cheesy, nasty beer with this Rita water ice flavor, which, by the way, ooh, I'm in trouble. I don't know why everybody get hyped about Rita's. I think Rita's is overrated. With the exception of like the one day they give it out for free, which was a hot mess this year, by the way. I just don't get hype about Rita's. Like Sadiq's Water Ice, this place called Fred's. Y'all heard of Fred's? I like Fred's Water Ice, personally. That's my personal favorite. Sadiq's is good too. But I'm not really crazy about this situation. I'm not hype about it. And what happened? The banana pudding lady, I used to like her. She's in Philly. She got the crazy banana decoration with the snacks, with the she's good too. I know she doesn't do water ice, but I like her. Sidebar, she's just great. I don't know why people don't talk about her enough. Her stuff is good. But yeah, the Rita's beers are no for me. I just cannot get with it. Random, but people know I'm petty. So somebody also reached out to me, just answer some of y'all questions, random questions. So if you hit me up in the DMs, I try to, if it's an interesting topic that isn't necessary, it's got to be juicy, but it's not, let's say, close to what I do. DM me, send me something, ask me what I think about something. I'll probably bring it up in the podcast. So someone told me, which I did look up and find, that Forbes 30 Under 30 is now going to be doing their thing in various cities. So now Forbes is going to have a 30 Under 30 in a couple of hot cities across this country. I don't remember all the cities, but like it was cities in the West Coast, East Coast, and the South. Philadelphia is not in the list, but there were some other cities. People said, what you think about this as somebody who is a Forbes Under 30 recipient in America, okay, the national one. I'm just going to say this. Personally, I don't like the idea. I think it's corny. There are local publications that do 30 Under 30 lists across the country. Across their cities. Like, they have various publications that in their city do these 30 Under 30 lists. As one of the original girls who was on a 30 Under 30 list for Forbes. Because the thing about it for me is I barely get on these under something lists. Like, when I was under 30, the only list I ever got on like that was literally Forbes. now I'm under, I'm 31 now, so I'll be on the under 40 list if that happens. But what's interesting to me is that now that everyone is doing it, I personally feel like it don't hit the same way when I was on the list back in the day. But like I just feel like it's the whole point of Forbes was to just have the ultimate list. They're the reason why everybody else is doing those lists, like these under 30. Like they created that, and I was honored and still honored to be one of those people that's a part of that, especially in Philly, because it's not that many folks from Philly that be on it unless they're like Meek Mill or a football player or a tech person. So I'm very gracious for that honor, but like. Now to see that they're trying to do it in every city, I just feel like it taints the value because you're not like 30 under 30 in the country. You're 30 under 30 in a city that has other people doing the same exact list. It's just not the same to me. These lists are getting over the top, but people love them because as a journalist, as somebody in the media industry, those lists oftentimes bring great traffic to the publication. So if your publication and the place that you're reading from or whatever, it brings great traffic, every time people do it, and it's a great way to get people to read and debate and argue because, people always love to debate, lists. They love to debate lists and figure out, what's happening. And it's an interesting dynamic. But, this year, the Philadelphia Business Journal just released their list of 40 under 40. And honestly, these lists, I ain't gonna hold you, but they're corny. You look at these lists and there's no style, there's no taste. You're just like, you all pick the same people that y'all know. Y'all putting Eagles players on there. Y'all put in people that are like random CEO type people. Everybody's in a suit and tie. Everybody is somebody's from some law firm, some group. It's never like folks, I don't know. Let me be quiet. And I'm not talking about myself because I don't need them damn things. But I think about folks out here that really be doing the work. And I'm just like, it's always like, oh, whoever got this position, you're just on the list because you have that position. It's just like snores because it's a money grab for sponsorships and buzz and press. I mean, let's just keep it 100. I like the list that there's none of that. You just wake up and they tell you you're in it and you're like, wow, there was no campaigning. There was no whatever. Like, I had no ties to Forbes. I didn't know anybody at Forbes at the time. I didn't have any connections. Like, I woke up and everyone was texting me like, oh my God, congratulations. Like, what the fuck happened? And I just wish that we did more of that rather than nominate someone. It's like, okay, you know how this go. So that's my thoughts on that. Now, Chloe, this album, music this week. So I listened to Chloe's new album. So, I've been talking about this. So I felt like I should do a brief album review. Skated it. What I mean is, I'm not going to say I hated the album, but I skated the album. It's like, so. What I will give her props for is that all of those songs that she teased out over the past couple of weeks, months, none of those songs was on the album except for the Chris Brown song, which I wish was not on the album. She had a lot of new songs, and she previewed a lot of them in the past couple of days, but I just thought, oh, of course, Have Mercy, Treat Me, Surprise, the song she did with Lotto, of course those songs that she just dropped was going to go, but it wasn't. Those were just singles she was teasing out. This album has like 14 tracks, and like most of the songs are all new songs. I hadn't heard anything on them. So that was very interesting. I feel like the album has no cohesion. I don't know what the theme is. I guess the theme is relationships, and I mean but that's not really a theme. It's like a topic. It's some soft songs. There's some skips on the songs. There's songs that have high energy, songs that just kind of just there. There's just no rhyme or reason to the album as a mix. I mean, honestly, this could have been a scaled down EP. Like, she could have just, made this an EP or something and just treat it like that rather than make this big production. I just felt like it could have just been slimmed down or something. In my opinion. It's interesting because extended play, are shorter than LPs. LPs are the long albums, and what people don't understand is that LP is a long play. So that's an album, that's a body of work. But an EP is extended play. It's basically a half-length body of work, which has about 4 to 6 tracks and it's about 15 to 12 minutes versus an album is 35 to 60 minutes. This should have been an EP. She should have just did 4 to 6 songs, picked some of them songs up, made them an EP. I don't think this needs to be, in my opinion, an LP, a long play, an album. It should have been EP. It was, I don't know. I just felt like in the songs that she did drop out, she should just turn that into an EP. Because all them songs, a lot of them singles she did prior was a bop, in my opinion. I know Pray It Away was a song she had already dropped earlier, but it was just, it was, it was interesting. I did like Told Ya by Chloe and Missy Elliott. I did, She Back is okay. Like I liked For the Night. I liked Surprise. A lot of those songs was not there. But there's a lot of songs off the album that just like, I'm like, maybe I'm a little older. Maybe that's what it was. Like, maybe those songs are meant for a younger crowd. I don't know, but it was all right. So as far as movies go, this week I saw the new Air movie, the Jordan film, the biopic called Air, which has Matt Damon. He's the lead actor for the most part of the film. Viola Davis, her husband is in the film, and he plays her real life husband plays her husband in the film. She plays Michael Jordan's mom. Ben Affleck's in the film. He directs the film apparently, which he's very good. Because I was like, this is a really good film. So, it was a really good film. He's the director. Ben Affleck directed the film. Marlon Wayans was in the film. Chris Tucker's in the film. Viola Davis, Jason Bateman. It's a nice star-studded cast, to be honest. I enjoyed the film. I thought it was good. Thoughts about it. So, one thing you should know, this is not a Michael Jordan biopic. I need to just get that out the way. This film is not about Michael Jordan's entire career life. Funny enough, the film doesn't even show Michael Jordan really. Like, he's not really talking in the movie. The camera's not on his face. It's kind of interesting how they play into, like, he's the silhouette, but, like, he's not the center. I don't want to tell too much of the film, but I just want you to just go knowing that this is not a film about Michael Jordan. The film is about the birth and the conception of the Air Jordan shoe and how they got Michael Jordan to sign the deal, which made it the most successful, invigorating, athletic shoe of all time. He is, to me, the greatest basketball player of all time. I know people talked about LeBron for 5 seconds, but LeBron been fucking up, in my opinion, with his politics. Listen, I know Jordan ain't no saint, but Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. That's my opinion. And it's not just based on his stats and his numbers, but his impact for the culture. Like what he did, how he redefined basketball, American basketball, and how players could even thrive in the industry and even other sports. He is the GOAT. No doubt about it. And yes, I'm from Chicago and I have bias. But at the end of the day, look, I live in other cities across this country, clearly Philly. He is the greatest basketball player of all time. He is the GOAT. And when you really look at his story and you look at how competitive those players were back in the day and how he got those rings and how he led with a team and how he did all of those things, what he did, there would be no LeBron James without Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan came into an industry where people told him that Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, Magic Johnson, that was it. They were the ones. They were the people that you need to, be happy about. Bill Russell, they told him, you ought to be happy. You should be alongside them. And he came in and had a different swagger and finesse that is still unrivaled and unmatched. And I just will not hear any, Michael Jordan basketball stand. Now, if you want to talk about his personal life, whatever, okay, sure. But if you want to talk about his cultural impact in basketball, no one can touch Michael Jordan. Period. I'm just tired of the slander. I'm tired of all of these debates. There's no debate. There's good players, right? They can play well and do stuff. But there's nothing that compares. You have to be there to see it. You have to go back. Like there's no cultural moment. The way that Michael Jordan's impact, he was not just a basketball player. He was an idea. He was a dream. When you see that logo of him making that dunk with that ball, that is one of the most cultural, symbolic logos of American fashion and ideology. It is embedded upon people. No matter where you go around the world, when you talking about Michael Jackson, you talking about Michael Jordan, there's certain people, that is as American as the McDonald's arches. Y'all got, people got to stop playing. LeBron, yes, he's done some great things. He's a billionaire, blah, 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 blah. But when we're talking about the cultural significance and impact, Michael Jordan above all. And if you don't know, now you know. That's all I got to say. I don't know anybody who's wearing LeBrons. Raise your hand if you're wearing LeBrons. Jordan is still selling that shoe. And so this film is about the shoe, the culture. It's fascinating. Viola Davis plays Michael Jordan's mother. And the scene she's in, she's a screen stiller. It's a great overall film. I love the balance. It's funny. It's thoughtful. It's fascinating. You learn a lot about the business. It's a great film. It comes out in theaters later this week. Highly recommend you go. I can't wait till it hits the theaters because I know a lot of people are going to be talking about this movie. And it's definitely going to be a conversation for sure. So I highly recommend it. Think it's a great film. Go watch it. Also, update on Tiana Taylor. Well, it's apparent that she's going to be playing Dionne Warwick, the legendary pop musical icon Dionne Warwick, okay? Forever and ever. She's great. So Dionne Warwick is going to have a biopic coming soon, apparently in works. Tiana Taylor confirmed that that she's going to be playing Dionne Warwick. And this all started a couple years back when there was conversation about, Dionne Warwick was who's going to play me in a biopic? And she said Tiana Taylor. And it's true, because they do have similar features, high cheekbones. If you look at Dionne Warwick when she was younger, and you look at Tiana Taylor, they could do that. I see it. I can see it. TV this week. Lots of good things on TV. First of all, finish Succession. Just watch the latest episode. Every time Succession is taking me for a roller coaster. It's already the second episode of the fourth season, and I'm already God damn it. Just when I thought I knew how this was going to shape up, they took me for a loop. Family already backstabbing each other with the bullshit. The siblings can't I won't tell it because I know it's still hot, but just God damn it. They cannot, they can't get their shit together. Okay. I'm just every time I turn around, I'm y'all cannot get y'all shit together. Every time I think I can expect it, the Roys just can't get themselves together, period. Watched Baddies West. Look, Baddies West is going to be my stuff on Zeus. Nally Nunn is always showing her ass. Just Nally Nunn. There needs to be a conversation about Nally Nunn in the podcast where I don't know who's going to do that episode, but we talk about Tiffany Pollard from I Love New York. I didn't really understand the whole trajectory and the problematicness of Nally Nunn. I knew some things, but Nally Nunn, she's a USC grad, shout to USC, but not really for her. But she is there's like, I just want a deep dive, like YouTube, because I watch a lot of YouTube stuff. YouTube is nice to, sometimes some people, YouTube creators make some really good informational videos and content that you just can't find anywhere else. And sometimes you get educated on some stuff. Shout out to those people who really make those really good, thorough bios on people. But I want a real good Nelly Nunn bio, like some type of video info to talk about like her, because I'm looking at some of these old videos of her. I'm like, the way that Nelly talked back then and now, this is like a persona. It's very problematic. Power Book 2. Listen, Tariq St. Patrick, I just don't know what to do with that child. I feel like I've never been more annoyed of a child celebrity, like a character on a show. I just don't understand. That boy is always in some shit. He just can't get out of trouble. He's always in some shit. What I'm excited about the most is Abbott Elementary returns this week. They've been on a little 2-week hiatus. They take these like breaks and then they come back, which is kind of cool. I guess they want people to catch up with the show. But they're back again with new episodes, so I'm super excited about that. I saw Quinta Brunson on SNL. It's giving Emmy nomination. I definitely predict that she's going to get an Emmy nomination for like Best Guest Actress on a comedy show, like on a comedy program. Like they do that. So for example, Cat Williams won one time. Eddie Murphy, I believe, won. Or is that Dave Chappelle? Had been nominated for an Emmy for his appearance on SNL. But I think this Quinta Brunson's episode going to get nominated. I don't know if she'll win because SNL is very competitive with their guests and their hosts. But she definitely was the ultimate standout so far, in my opinion. Bel-Air. Oh, Bel-Air. Oh, my God. You know, y'all, I feel like y'all don't watch Bel-Air. I don't know. People don't talk about it enough on Twitter. Like, everybody just kind of don't watch it. Or they're not talking about it. But, like, it's so good. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this season, the second season has been really evenly good. Like, very, very high energy. And it's just crazy because, like, every fucking episode, it's like, this is their pattern. And it doesn't annoy me. But it's just like, it's just TV. I guess it's good TV. But like, they always do this thing where throughout the show, right, you watch each episode and it starts off addressing the drama. So the drama from the previous episode, they kind of bring it in the morning or the start of the day and they kind of like brush it off or address it. And it's kind of like semi-addressed. So you're like, okay, move on. And then there's a tension and issue brewing through the middle of the show, the episode, and you're like, okay, how are they going to solve that? How are they going to confront that? Then they finally do, and then there's this nice little gathering. Everyone's lovey-dovey and hugging each other and making it alone. And then there's some moment or twist at the very end of the episode that makes you question the entire genuineness and sincerity of everything you just fucking watched. And then you have to wait again the next week to see what happens next. It's exhausting, but I can't help myself. I'm addicted. But it's like, that's the flow of that show. And if you've watched Bel-Air episodes and you've been following the show, you'll notice what I'm talking about. Like, literally, the writing structure of the show is always like this. Like, seriously, watch this latest episode. Or if you haven't, DM me, message me, let me know, like, if you notice the pattern too. But literally, it starts always like, okay, top of the first, like, it's like three acts. Act 1, let's address what the fuck happened last episode. Everybody kind of like patch that up so that we can shut that shit up. Act 2, what's hot now? What's the new mess in the drama that we're going to stir up this time? And there's a conflict and a resolution. And then it ends with a cute thing. And then Act 3, which is like the last like 2 minutes, whatever the fuck you just saw in Act 1 and Act 2, forget about it. Something else didn't happen. And you got to watch next week to see how they address it. So it's like a pattern like that. But it just plays on my emotions and it works. So those are all the shows. Those are all the things that's been going on. What I will say before wrapping up, so I am a part of a national magazine award-winning team. The story I did in my work in being a part of the 10 years since Trayvon Martin's passing, the big New York Magazine package that was covering what happened with Black Lives Matter over the past 10 years. Of course, I did the big investigative story for it, one of the big investigative stories about what happened to Campaign Zero with D. Ray McKesson and all that. Well, it won the National Magazine Award, this overall package for a single topic issue. What a big full circle moment. So I previously won a magazine award, National Magazine Award, a couple years ago, but I was honored as a 30, what was it, the ASME Next Awards for journalists under the age of 30. Yes, another under 30. I guess I've won one of those before. But this was from the National Academy, the National Society of Magazine Editors, ASME, so ASME. So they do the National Magazine Awards, which is the Oscars of magazine awards. And so our team, our group won under single topic issue. So shout out to the editors who worked on that project, which is Lindsay Peoples and, of course, Morgan Jerkins, who I've worked with in the past, and she's an incredible writer. She's an author of several great books, and she is one of my fellows. Me and her both were honored as ASME Next Award recipients. I won before her in 2019, and then she, I believe, won in 2020. And I was actually on the judging pool that nominated her and made sure she, voted to get her honored. And so when she got honored, it was a surprise. I told her about it. She was excited. She received that honor. And then years later, she got a gig to be an editor on this special project. She called me up and said, "Hey, you want to work on this with me and do a big story for us on this?" And I was like, "Sure, thanks for thinking of me." And this is like my first big national cover story project that I worked on on this magnitude. And it was a very dope experience. And for us to win the National Magazine Award is dope. They celebrated. It was in Brooklyn. I didn't go to Brooklyn. I was at Vauvert early this week. My brother and I went to dinner there. They had a new chef tasting menu. Oops, I forgot that restaurant. We went to Vauvert. They have a new chef. It was a residential chef in residence from my mom's, who did a really great spread of food. We had filet mignon with pierogies, which might sound like, huh? But let me tell you something. Filet mignon with pierogies is like steak and potatoes with a twist. It was very good. They had caviar on top of the pierogies. It was dope. But anywho, it was a super, I found out while we were having dinner, and they were all turned up over there, Lindsay and Morgan and all of them. They were turned up over there in New York and was having a great time. So kudos to them, kudos to us. I'm super excited. What a week, what a time to be alive, what a time to do this work. So I'm excited. Stay tuned this week. There's going to be some surprises over here on my end. Dropping some bombs between the beginning of the week and the end of the week. So stay pressed, stay tuned. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.